had a conversation last night with Joanna Klonsky, who's working for Sharon. I guess she was trying to
butter you up,
find out what we were going to talk about, but I kept asking her who's.
Okay, how y'all feel about this?
Hold on. What?
So we just got a caller that said Chicago should stand behind Kaepernick by having him on the Bears.
Having on the Bears?
Oh, we said that. We've been said that a long time ago.
How did you get that started? I'm like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, but I mean, where would he?
What?
They already got this white boy that they're all excited about. This Trubisky guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And nobody's been hurt, so I don't know where they would put him. I mean, that's true, but I mean, I don't know where they would.
Sonny, do you watch football?
Nope.
Don't let them people send you off in here. Don't be coming over here telling us football stories.
Well,
Stay in the woman lane. Stay in the woman lane.
He's supposed to have
let me
a job.
say something.
Stay in the woman lane.
My lane
is women lane.
I put myself in.
Women. Women need to stay in their place. Stay in the woman's lane.
I don't watch it, but I can play it.
You can play it.
That's right. I can run with some damn leather in my arm and knock y'all out.
See? Look. Hey, y'all, the man done told her. He done sitting her here and said, look, you got to start acting like the man tendencies. So she got to come in here. See, that's the problem. Women don't know their place.
I think that was a good
You don't even
suggestion.
Should women even be able to talk about football?
I can talk about whatever I want to.
Really? You got in trouble for that one.
I'm saying, what do you know about football?
I don't know nothing about football.
Look, let us do our show.
But I know
women. This is the problem with women.
I know plenty of women who know hell of a lot about football.
What Cam said, it's funny to hear a woman talk about.
It's funny. Oh, we got in trouble for that, right? It's funny to hear.
It's funny.
What do you do? Let me do it like my man Kim.
Being physical.
It's funny to hear a woman. I mean, it's funny to hear a woman talk about running routes. I mean, like football.
Wait a minute, but you gotta give it to Cam.
Hold on.
Cam is a cool. Cam is a cool.
He laughed.
Cam is cool, boy. I mean, I don't know, man. Cam be cool. I like the shit he be wearing. You know,
I don't like them culottes, man. Come on, man. We on.
He be wearing some wild stuff, man. Yeah.
Woo! Oh, very much. Before their judgment day, won't you make them... Women don't know nothing about no football. All that Bill does time to...
It is.
Have to do is put it in our minds. Surely things will work out. They do it every time. World won't get no better if we just let it be. Na 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 na. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it. Good morning, Chicago. Good morning, world. This is the WVON Morning Show. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. And Charles, we starting already, man. We starting already. You know, the man done went out of town and Sonya done came in here starting up some stuff before the day even gets started.
Yeah, she does, man. How you feeling, man?
Hey, man, I'm gonna do like you. Woke.
I'm woke, but I tell you, I am sleep deprived.
You are sleep deprived. Why? Because you were up last night?
I was watching the World Series.
You were watching the World Series?
You know, yeah, I had to watch the World Series. You know me, I'm the ultimate baseball fan.
And you're like a baseball purist.
Yeah.
Shout out to...
I'm not going to miss Game 7 of the World Series. I'm going to miss it. Nah, man, I was right there with them to the end.
I was right there, and it was literally an end. Dodgers, man. That was kind of anticlimactic.
Well, you know, I had to, you know, I was liking Houston until that guy did the thing with the eyes on the.
Come on, man! Can't we just have some fun? You don't remember Charles?
That's kind of stuck in my craw. So at the end, I was kind of saying, man, can we really rooting for these people who had something like that happen on their bench? I'm sort of conflicted.
Charles, you don't remember back in the day when we used to see, man. I remember growing up as a kid when, you could talk about everything. Remember they'd be like Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these. You don't remember that?
But listen. But think about it. If they play Dodgers. That is the kind of thing that happened to Jackie Robinson in 1947, exactly 70 years ago. Think about that. That's what they were doing to Jackie Robinson. Really, man. And that guy did that to the Japanese pitcher. And I don't know, from a historic perspective, it bothered me that the guy was not thrown out of the World Series. And I don't know. It left a bad kind of taste. The victory, for me, was a little bittersweet.
Let me tell you what. It was in Houston. And it was Houston versus LA. So, like, really? I really don't care. Either way. Because it wasn't the Chicago White Sox. However, I know, you see, Charles, it's because you're a baseball purist. But I do want to send a shout out to everybody in Houston. Congratulations on your first victory in the 55-year history of the franchise. And you know, Houston's been having some challenges, so it was great to see that as an inspiration.
Exactly. That's the sweet part. The bitter part is the fact that this happened on their bench, and they had a culture where this guy thought it was all right to do that. And I'm just going, well, can I really get with a team like that?
Hey, Charles, that's how it go down in Houston. But hey, shout out to my man Jacob Israel. He was up, I was watching his posts all night. He was excited. So, you know, he's a faithful follower, so I wanted to say what's up. Now, Charles, we ain't even said what's up to the morning show team. Gotta say what's up to Annette Floor North. Now, you know what, Annette, you switching it up on us. I see your triceps popping through your dress shirt. So I don't even know what I'm supposed. Oh, wait. Oh, dagnabbit. Okay. Can we just say body parts that we can't comment on? Arms should be innocuous. Is that cool? Could I talk about? Okay.
But we can't talk about legs or bootay or...
What about glutes?
Glutes or anything like that. Okay.
Well, you know, I think we almost got in trouble for talking about chicken on this show.
Legs and thighs, man. Dark meat.
Fried chicken. A fried chicken. Oh, I have to do it because we can't play the button. Oh, fall back.
Really?
I get an extra hour of sleep? Ooh. I bet you I won't. I bet you I sleep until the alarm rings twice.
You know, Maze, we haven't had the experience of coming here at 4 o'clock in the morning in the cold, the bitter cold, Chicago Hawk cold.
Let me tell you.
I have some serious reservations.
You know, Charles, I have some serious reservations. Because it be cold in the mug in the morning, boy. And you know, like when you come around the corner, it's like when you in the lot or when you parking across the street or whatever you do, it's like the Hawk waits for you to get into full exposure. Because you know, you got the shadow of the building, you good. The second you get around the building, the Hawk be like, oh, you thought you got away?
Now, how about knocking on that door trying to get in and my man, Insane Wayne, taking his time.
Hey man, you know what? I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna start calling on 87th Street.
How the heck did I get in this conversation?
Insane Wayne takes his
time.
Hey
man, that goes the king of old school, y'all. You know what? He has the newly crowned king of old school. I still ain't forgot about that DJ battle, but yeah, man, Insane Wayne. Charles talked about you. Charles did it. I didn't do it.
What? No, because you take your time sometimes coming to the door.
You know.
And if it's 4 below, I mean, I don't know. I think about that.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Some days I be coming in, like, you know, like when it's raining and you standing outside, you be like, blah, 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 blah. You be like, blah, 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 blah. You be like, blah, 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 blah. Then you get the kick in the door. Then you like, you know what? I'm gonna call. And you call it Insane Wayne, be like, I got you, bro. You know, and then, you know, Wayne is a big dude. So you really want to have an attitude, but you got to kind of check it. Because, I mean, like, y'all don't understand. Insane Wayne, y'all, look, if you're on Facebook Live, I'm going to see how big Insane Wayne is. Insane Wayne, like, 6'6", 6'7", he his voice to y'all. And then he'd be like, what's up, dog? You be like, oh, nothing.
And then he says, I didn't do it.
Right, and we be like, look, and then you say, right,
do it.
Like, open the door. You didn't open the door. It's cold. Look, man, I was looking at the raindrops this morning, and I was saying, please, God. And you know, I'd be worried about the door, because you know, I'd be thinking about the peoples.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I got to sprint to the door. I'd be like, okay. I would look through. Don't let it be no sounds anywhere in the morning. Don't let no cars be going slow. I go back to my car and sit and wait. And then you get to the door, and you be like, if they come, man, if the Afro-aristocracy, if the green team come, they like, is it a plot? Is it a setup? Are they waiting to get me, Charles? I don't know.
Yes,
the same way.
You and
yes,
y'all full of it. Y'all full of it. You got my number.
I called and said,
and you got my number. Charles got my number. I said, hey, you can sit up and just call me.
Wayne, I do, man, but you know.
And just let me know you
might be doing something, man.
Right.
You might be in the middle of a dream or something.
Right,
man.
he ain't dreaming.
Y'all got my number. Y'all got my number.
Saying, you know, look, Wayne, we got your number, man. We get it.
And all you
man, you gonna let us have no comedy out this? You ain't gonna let us have our moment. Hey, Insane Wayne.
No, you got it, Mike.
Right. See, and that's exactly why. Was it cold? He be like, look. You been out there for like 15 minutes. He be like, was you out here for a minute? Oh no. You look up. You be thinking, I be like, man, when he come to the door, that Insane Wayne got me standing out here, and then he come to the door and say, what's up, dog? You be like, oh, nothing. Did you notice those?
Wasn't me.
I love these raindrops.
Wasn't me.
They keep falling on my head, and I just... Insane. Thank you, sir. Thank you for opening the door. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk of Chicago. 1690 AM. I'm your host, Mace Jackson, Charles Thomas. Insane Wayne in the studio.
Yes,
we are, you know what? And you know we cannot take the plane off with the musical conductor of the soul plane, Miss Sonia Escobar. Sonia, take us to traffic and weather, and you talk to us when we come back.
Y'all are stupid. Stupid.
Hey man, that's morning stuff. That's morning show action.
You're right. That's morning show.
That's morning show. There.
Nigga, open it.
Insane Wayne. Look, let me tell you, dog. You took a whole break. You got the whole opening segment. You was the featured celebrity, bro.
I didn't do it.
Look, and they loving you too, right? They are.
Nigga, open the door. Open the door.
Open the door. Open the door. It's cold in the mood.
Cold, man.
But y'all got my. You know what?
I know.
You got my number. I said, hey, you can sit up and just hit me before you get here.
You know what, man? I be in my zone. And then it be like, you know, you always think to do that until you be like, I'm gonna do it.
You get
and then you get to doing something.
But it becomes my fault.
Oh, it ain't your fault. I mean, you just
get a doorbell.
That was fun. That was fun.
Get a doorbell.
Nigga, he bang on the door. What the fuck? Who the fuck is this?
The motherfucker standing in the cold.
There at 6 a.m. You know.
Man, you just hit me up on my way, man.
I got it, Wayne. That was great. That made for great radio, though. I'll just tell you. Thank you, Wayne. We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys, man. I really do. Y'all are good people, man. Y'all are good people.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah, but
but hey, yo, next time call. See, I told you, see how big his ass is? Yeah. That's a big ass no. Right. You be like, you get an attitude. You got a big attitude. You look how I had to turn the camera. See how close it is to the ceiling? See how close he was? See, right? Like I be like, no problem, dog. No problem. I be like, no problem. It's all good. It wasn't that. See, no, it's okay, Wayne. You can break it. You can break it, dog. You can break it, dog. It's okay.
I'm breaking all his shit.
See,
all of it.
See, big ass.
I'm breaking all his shit.
Look, I be like this. I be bamming and then I be like, oh God. Then he come to the door and I be like, how you doing? Damn,
man, y'all the best, man. Y'all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm trying to get
some shit to talk about.
A
lot to talk about in here.
Throw out. Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
All right, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we'll see you tomorrow morning, man.
Yep.
Right. And $5.50, right? I be like, I get here at 5:50. I get here at 5:50. I be out here I be like, I like to get here and be sitting in my chair ready at 5. I get here like 5:50.
I mean 4:50.
I mean 4:50. Right, 4:50. I don't get inside till 5 o'clock. I'm just telling y'all. It ain't gonna be right, and that's a metal ass door, right? So you know what it's gonna be like banging on a metal door, right? At 4 in the morning, right? And you know, God help you if you got a little sweat on the walk from the car, your hand gonna stick to the door. Y'all saw A Christmas Story, right? Remember I said, man, hey, look, y'all. I ain't gonna even say nothing. You know, I be like, and you know, no, I ain't even go here, cause you know, if you're doing overnights, you be tempted to try a whole bunch of stuff. Around here, you know, you could probably get away with it. Because I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I done came in here some days and I'm like, what is that smell? I think there's been some action going on around here. Yesterday, I came in this mug. It smelled like Badussy, boy. I was like, what the fuck happened in here? It's the WVON morning show. Y'all know y'all love it. All right, let's see who's all there. Did I say what's up to everybody? Good morning, Amina. Good morning, Reese Mo. Good morning, Dennis. Good morning, Shanisha. Tell me how you say that. Pronounce it. Do it phonetically for me, Shanisha Nelson. What up, Corey Matt? That's right, Corey. You supposed to listen to us more than you listen to Peoria. Do they even got radio in Peoria? Come on, man. What up, Marquin? What up, KM? What up, Amina? What up, Nate Williams? What up, Reese Mo?
Hey, man, what's social media today?
Jay Bizzle. And this fool spent $1 million on Obamacare commercials to get the black vote. That help you? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, because it should help WVON, all right?
He ain't put that money, he ain't put $1 million on WVON. He put that joint on 2579.
Really? Oh, he ain't put nothing on?
He might have put some, about a couple thousand. To touch! Woo! She nasty. WVON's third annual South Suburban Jazz Crawl is heading to the Southland November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, featuring women in jazz and paying tribute to our very own Joan Colasso. You'll enjoy some music from Chicago's greatest song stylists, from contemporary jazz soul to classic to blue note. Charles, I think you said you like that blue note, right?
I like that straight ahead.
That straight ahead.
That bebop.
That bebop, baloo-bop, wop, bam, boom, do it, Rudy. Oh, Rudy.
Really.
That's not the bebop you talking about?
That's not the bebop. I'm talking about Charlie Parker through Miles.
Hey,
all
man.
of them, man. Wynton Kelly at the very beginning, of bebop. I love that, man. That's my era.
Charles, it's all there at the WVON's third annual South Suburban Jazz Crawl. And don't forget, we're going to be paying tribute to Joan Colasso, who's done so much to preserve the art form here in Chicago. So visit WVON.com for more details. It's powered by your Energy Smart friends at Nicor. Charles, this is the WVON Morning Show. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. And Charles, let me tell you, brother. So, you know, we talk a lot of smack. Hey, Sonya, I think you got I need you to play my boy Barry soundtrack. Give me some Barry underneath this. 'Cause Charles, I'm here to tell you, old Barry got me yesterday, dog.
Barry.
Oh, Barry. President Barry Barack Obama.
Barry Obama.
Barry got me, dog. They got me yesterday.
You got
Charles, Sonia, I need some let's say together. So Charles, yesterday, I went on down to the Obama Summit, Foundation Summit, and I went down, and I went down there with I'm ready to give it to Obama, and he better not come this way, because when he come around here, I'm going to ask him, what's in it for the black people, and what's up with our community benefits agreement?
And what happened? He got you?
Charles. Hey, man, I went into the Obama Summit. Bro, you get in there, and they got all the lights, and in the rooms, and man, they had this coffee. Charles, I ain't never tasted. They had this magical coffee.
It was good coffee?
Man, that coffee, it wasn't nothing like no Dunkin' Donuts. Man, and you could pick 3 kinds, and look, you could go.
3 kinds of coffee?
3 kinds of coffee. Now, hey, man, I'm going to tell you.
Was it free?
Yes, for the attendee. I'm going to tell you something, though. I think I like going places more as a VIP than going as a media person.
Well, who doesn't?
I mean, because I thought I thought when you was media and you got to go to all the places, they got you to hook up. You get the, hey man, at the VIP stuff.
That's old days. They don't do that anymore.
The VIP stuff, bro, we get the steak and lobster, shrimp. Man, I went to y'all little, they didn't even want to give you no coffee.
No. They give you a cup of coffee, maybe. And maybe a donut if you're nice.
But then they want you to talk about it. But, Charles, I'm going to tell you, man. They had all of the, like if you stopped at these stations, they would sew these badges on. They had books. Charles, the speakers, remember we was talking smack about the speakers? I was talking smack about the speakers, man. They had people in there. I'm going to tell you, President Obama is trying to create a revolution. It just ain't a black revolution. But he trying to create
a worldwide revolution of people all over the world.
Charles, he got me yesterday. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you. So here's my thought. I think my summation of this whole Obama Foundation is correct, which is President Obama is a community organizer of the world. Chicago, we need to let it go. Because, Charles, I'm going to tell you, when I watched it yesterday, it was like there was this event that was going on upstairs, right, which was the summit with all the invited guests.
The big shots.
Not the big shots. The people that they envisioned as future world leaders.
Okay.
Mixed in with the big shots of world leaders. Then when you went downstairs and you went into the hotel lobby bar, it was like all the Afrostocracy waiting to go to the concert across the hall in the chance thing. And then the regular Chicagoans who were there for the community event were all standing outside in line in the rain waiting to get in. And it seemed so symbolic.
Now, where was Mays Jackson in this configuration?
Mays Jackson, so I'm going to tell you, Charles, Mays Jackson felt a little funny about going after all the stuff I talked. So I went straight to the press area, got my credentials, went live from the event, and then left. I didn't go to the concert because I'm against that. I was against it from the standpoint of what it was about. But I just watched. So I actually worked as I was actually reporting, not necessarily participating.
Which is what you were supposed to be doing. You were in the media.
Man, but I think, man, I'm telling you, I think I like the shrimp and...
Well, of course, but you were...
Charles,
today, you were
a reporter.
Right.
And I'm just telling you, my brother, he got a good idea. It's just we ain't included. That's all.
Well, I don't think it's about Chicago. Right. I mean, we said that yesterday. This is, as you say, he is a world community organizer. A community organizer for the world, as opposed to Chicago. But you know what I said yesterday, I resented the fact that he comes back from time to time to tell us who to vote for. I'm very uncomfortable with that.
I'm uncomfortable with that.
But the other thing I'm uncomfortable with, and I saw this during the media coverage, is that he's using black Chicagoans as props for a lot of this stuff.
Ooh, Charles.
And, we have problems in Chicago as black people that are peculiar to us and challenges that are peculiar to us. And when I see black folks from here being used as props for this worldwide situation, I kind of like a flyover. We're like a flyover set of problems.
Man.
And that bothers me.
Charles, and I'm going to tell you that was true. You see that play out yesterday. It was like all the people from the world were having dinner upstairs in a room. All the Chicago and Afrostocracy was downstairs hoping to be acknowledged or waiting for President Obama to acknowledge them as Chicago's Afrostocracy. And he made a space for them. And then it was just the common citizens outside. But speaking of Obama, man, did you see this thing about J.B. Pritzker has invested $1 million in ads for Obamacare?
Yeah, I read that. I mean, I was thinking maybe I'd hear some of those on WVON.
There better be some of them on WVON, but it got me thinking like, man, if you're going to spend private money on public projects, is he? And I think he's spending it to get to black people. So I want to ask the social media question of the day, Charles. If you could tell J.B. Pritzker how to spend his money to get black votes, what would you tell him? Because I don't know if Obamacare commercials are the answer.
That's a good question.
Ladies and gentlemen,
excellent question.
We'll ask that question when we come back. It's the social media question of the day, 6:31. We'll be back.
Live from the WVON newsroom, here's our news now.
How y'all feeling this morning? All right, y'all. What's up? It's your man, Maze Jackson. Let's see who's out here rocking with us. I hope y'all are having a good time this morning. You know, I'm starting to get... Guys, we got to get to 300 viewers. We need a drive to 300. If we could get to 300 viewers live, then it opens up a whole new set of tools for Facebook Live. So I'm going to ask you guys to work with us throughout the next few weeks to help us get this broadcast number, this number up here to 300. Now that's really difficult to do, particularly over a 3-hour period. But if we have this number go, and it may be right here depending on where you're looking at, if we can get it over 300, then we are able to open up a lot more tracking tools, a lot more ways to communicate with our viewers live, as well as to have this broadcast spread around the world. And Facebook will add additional promotion to it with the 300 viewers. So I'm going to need y'all to give us some aid and assist to help us get this number, which it could be over here depending on where you're at, or it could be right here. We need to get it to 300. So I'm going to ask you all to consistently share the broadcast with your friends, with your family. Ask them to take a look. Hey, tell 10 people. All right? We got real information here. Real things that people need to be talking about.
So what I noticed is you all get a lot of phone calls that may not have anything to do with your topic. Because I know y'all freestyling, right? So do you take them? What do I tell these people?
Yeah, you put them up there, and you put their comments up there. And then if I see, like sometimes their comments will lead to the conversation. Like right now when we were freestyling, we getting ready to go to our social media question. But the calls are always good because I like to have them up so that we can include people in the conversation if they've got something. So if I can just get a sense of what they're thinking, we can. But yeah, I think, like if we freestyling like that and they call and they want to say something, let them call and say something. They might.
Because he wants to invite you to that first caller, Demetrius. I think it's a Cubs championship or something.
We ain't going to no goddamn Cubs championship nothing.
Right.
How about that?
Right. He was like, I want to invite Charles and Maze to come to the north side.
Yeah, but you know what? We'll take his call though, just so we can be like, get your ass up out of here with that bull. What you celebrate?
Yeah, y'all lost. Y'all ain't shit. Y'all
celebrate. We gonna invite y'all to the White Sox celebration too, cause we all sitting in the same place. How about that? So I called to invite y'all. See, but but you know what that is? That's him listening. Hey, you know what I had a dude tell? Well, first of all, so I'm gonna tell y'all something. So you should have seen the response of the press of the Obama staff when I walked in the door. Yeah, that was some comedy. And then it turns out that the person that's putting the whole thing together worked for me on the Quinn campaign. Ain't that crazy? What's so crazy is, here is a young white girl that within 10 years, Quinn was elected in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. She was 20-something and getting out straight out of college. Worked on the campaign, left the campaign, went to D.C., worked for 4 years in the administration, left, started a PR firm, and is now running the Obama Foundation program across the country, right? Across the country. So Pivot or whatever, Kivit is local, but this girl ain't 30 years old. And it's crazy to me because there's no opportunity for black kids like that. And that's what I'm talking about. I had to be like 37 years old to get a shot like that. And still was not able to translate it. I made something, but she was able to go to the presidency and then go on and leave. It's the same thing that happens with Rom. That doesn't happen for black folks. I'm gonna say I'm not tripping. I was proud of Kate. And you see those people and you like, that kid is going somewhere. Cause she was just a hard pressing young white girl. You would be like, God damn, I used to hate her. Till one day I was like, all right, look. I'm 37 years old around here. I don't know who you think you're talking to. But once we got understanding, it was good. But the key is, they got a pipeline and a cycle that we don't have. Old girl was talking about it yesterday, but we've been talking about it forever. When they had the opportunity to make that pipeline, they didn't do it. You heard them. Yeah, white folks get
white privilege, man. That's all that is.
But it's like when we get the chance to have that.
But you don't get that.
I'm saying there was a time when the Afrostocracy could have picked. They picked themselves. They didn't pick next. Let's go, Will.
But that's how they are just as racist as people they criticize, and because they do the same thing. The end result for us is always the same.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. That's why she can't come rewrite the story and be like, oh, now tell us. These are a few of my favorite things. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the jazz version of WVON. I'm your man, Maze Jackson, with the smooth... Oh, wait, that's not smooth jazz. Hey, this is your man, Maze Jackson. Cool cat, you dig? I got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the studio. Charles, how you feeling today?
I don't know whether or not you're making fun of America's only truly American art.
Nah, man, don't you remember
was created in the United States by black people for the world. They can talk of nothing else. Jazz is the only truly American art form.
My brother, Charles.
Jazz.
You dig? Hey, Charles, I don't know if you ever saw that Flintstones where the jazz version came on.
The jazz version of the Flintstones.
The jazz artist came on. He said, "We cool. You dig? I'm a cool cat. You dig?"
The Flintstones.
It was on the Flintstones. See, I was a latchkey kid, so I used to watch cartoons, and these moments just stick. He used to wear a beret. Had a little French mustache. You dig?
Is it really?
Cool cat. Yes, Barney was one too.
Okay.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas. If you're wondering why you keep hearing all of that jazz, because we have the South Suburban Jazz Crawl, WVON's 3rd annual. Check us out November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But Charles, you know what? J.B. Pritzker is rich than a mug.
Richer than a mug.
He's so rich that, bro, he has already spent $20 million without even being on the ballot.
You know, he has You know, what they don't really talk about is that he's doing a lot of work off television and off the broadcast. That's where we see it. But he's doing a lot of work in counties all over the state. It's 102 counties in Illinois. He's organizing. He's building an infrastructure for a campaign to run after he presumably wins the nomination in March. Presumably, I'm saying.
Because you keep saying presumably,
yeah,
because we believe. See, I think both of us agree that the green team got something sneaky up their sleeve. And you heard Chris Kennedy say right here, hey, Charles, it's going to be a rope-a-dope. You saying
this is a rope-a-dope, Charles.
He compared himself. I'd still am tripping on him comparing himself to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah,
but
he did. He's in it to win it.
And then you inferred, or maybe you got a call you broke down yesterday, or I don't know if I said it on the air.
Okay,
so I don't know if
if J.B. Pritzker organizes the state right now, he's spending millions of dollars to do that the Democratic Party
doesn't have
to spend, and he's doing all the organization. So let's say that Chris Kennedy wins the nomination.
Then he just moves into JB's house?
He just moves into all this organization that JB's already put together, and guess what? His expense is way down. He doesn't have to spend the money. Madigan and Daley and all these other Green Team members, suddenly they have a candidate who's got an infrastructure already built by guess who? Big money JB. So JB better be careful that the Green Team is not scheming him and milking him and taking his money.
Think they got a Vic.
They think they got a Vic, that they might somebody that they might be able to get to build all the infrastructure they need to run a Green Team member. Now that is, in fact, one guy told me, he said, this is one of the people I talked to all day, and he said, you know, you might not see the Green Team because of all the green that JB's spending.
Dang, man.
You can't see the green because of the green. Now, I didn't make that up. That came from one of my
sources.
My sources.
Charles got sources.
You can't see the green because of the green.
Man, I hear people are going to see JB with mad crate. Like, I'm hearing people like, hey, yo, homie, you want me to be down? I need 10 grand a month.
That's what I'm
like, I'm hearing he is hitting people. People are hitting him up. But Charles, you know, with everything that's going on, I think that JB is trying to figure out a way to lock down the black community.
Has to.
Because that is the key. You can't win, but I think that he's also trying to curry the favor of President Obama. And I think he's trying to, just like most white folks, I think he might have went to one of them events or two, spent a little money, and he is under the spell too. So he thinks that President Obama is going to be the magic bullet. So, Charles, it turns out yesterday he apparently spent $1 million on ads for Obamacare, encouraging people to enroll for Obamacare. Now, he's spending private money to encourage people to sign up for a public program. And I'm saying, dang, if you spending $1 million to tell us to sign up for Obamacare.
Well, first of all, Mace, let's put it in perspective.
Go ahead.
They say JB is worth, what is it, 3.7 or 4.7 billion?
Boom! Billion.
Each of those billions represents 1,000 million. So this isn't a lot of money to my man. He spends 10 grand. If he spends $1 million on this, that's nothing. So when you say somebody comes up to him and say, hey, JB, can you let me hold 10,000? That ain't, man, come on, that's like me letting you hold a quarter. Right?
Hey, man, but you know you kind of cheap, bro. You talk about a quarter. You like, when I'm going to get that quarter back?
Right, I will. But JB's got it like that. And this is the whole notion of having these people with all this money. I mean, JB makes Bruce Rauner look like, you know, he's got so much more money than Bruce Rauner. And you know Bruce Rauner is loaded. He's got 4 or 5 times as much money as Bruce Rauner. Come on now.
Well, man, Charles,
he's the rich guy running, not Bruce Rauner.
So I guess, JB, you got all this money to spend, and somebody advised you to spend $1 million on Obamacare ads. Now, I'm not going to ask who was the advertising agency. Nope, I'm not going to ask that. I'm not going to ask what black company is getting the money. I'm not going to ask that. I want to know what black people think. If you could tell J.B. Pritzker how to spend his money to get your vote, what would you tell him to spend it on? Because I don't know if Obamacare ads is where he needs to be spending his money.
But maybe, like you said, maybe he's going to get Obama to come out and endorse him. And you know how...
Hey, man, President Obama, I think President Obama should sit this out.
Well, of course, you know, absolutely. He should sit out all this, including the aldermanic races, the state races. He should sit that out, too. But he hasn't. I mean, if this guy can represent, if Obama can endorse an alderman in the city of Chicago.
Bro, how about this? He endorsed a state rep.
A state rep. I mean,
come on, man. A state rep, though?
A state rep.
I get an alderman.
You get an alderman?
No, I can get an alderman.
Oh, man.
Because that was his next door neighbor, dog.
Yeah, but still. An alderman in the city? Come on, man.
Hey, man, come on now. Check this out, though. Check this out. If I could, and I talk a lot of smack about President Obama, but let me just tell you, if I could dial up President Obama and say, hey, yo, I'm running for school board president. Remember how I used to pass you the, you know, when you run out a cup of sugar, and I would come over and bring it to you.
I used to give you a cigarette.
Right. I bum a cigarette off me. You be like, let me get that short. Right, you know, I always give you my short, actually give you a whole cigarette. I'm going to need you to come on. I think that's a fit. I mean, I just think that's the 800-pound gorilla. You're supposed to use that if you got it, dog.
If you got it. But, you know, but think about it, though. But Obama, like, her Hartman was in here yesterday talking about she had been forgotten by Obama. Think about all the other people who Obama seems to have left in his wake. Queen Sugar.
Woo!
You know? Remember her? Remember how he left Jeremiah Wright?
I'm going to tell you the worst.
Remember how he abandoned Emo Jones?
Can I tell you what? That was the Emo Jones thing. I'm going to tell you, bro. Emo Jones was when we had a stick. And I'm going to tell you. If them white boys could have killed Barry on the vine and got they Dan Hines, they would have done it. And Emo Jones cleared a path for President Obama, and I will never forget.
To run for the United States Senate.
To run for United States Senate. And he was on the bus, he was knocking, he was organizing, he was using them. Y'all gonna get on here, we going to Indiana, we gonna help President Obama, we gonna help him. And I'll never forget being at the Generation 44 event and seeing Emo Jones on the other side of the barricade looking up at President Obama, and I was like, hey, man, you wrong for that. You're wrong for that.
But that just shows you the differences in the perception of Obama. Like, he's helping these candidates, but at the same time, he has abandoned a lot of other people along the way. So, you know, I think he should just butt out at this point completely.
Man, I'm saying build your library.
He doesn't live here anymore. I mean, come on.
It's a fantasy. Barry don't live here anymore. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 648 on Top Chicago. If you could tell J.B. Pritzker how to spend his money to win black votes, what would you tell him to do? Give us a call, 773-591-1690. We'll be back.
More
Where's Ruthie?
Show with Maze Jackson coming up on the Talk of Chicago.
Where's Ruthie?
Oh, yeah, Ruthie.
Hold on, let me go check, because you know Sonia is in the studio and she
doesn't know she's here or something.
Let me go check. You got the camera.
Yeah, you know, I think the way that JB, I mean, it really bothers me when I see these people around election time start to make these donations or whatever to get the black vote or to get people involved in the black community, you know, get black voters. And like JB wants to do ads for Obamacare, maybe hoping that Obama endorses him. But if they take their money, what if they invested it in black businesses? You'd be surprised what an impact a couple of $100,000 could do in helping black businesses get underway in Chicago. I saw that business with, I think it was J.P. Morgan Chase or whatever. They had $40 million they were going to invest in the black community, but all of it was going to go to not-for-profits and training programs. I mean, if you got $40 million to invest in the black community if you took that $40 million and very carefully invested it in black businesses, you could start 40 black businesses with $1 million each. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine what you could do with $1 million if you were a qualified, experienced, decent credit black business person starting black businesses in the community? $40 million? But no, they're going to give the $40 million to not-for-profits and keep and basically maintain the cycle of dependency. But you take somebody like JB, if JB wanted to use $1 million, I tell you, he could start, 10 little leagues in the community. As far as I'm concerned, would make a lot of a difference, and call it JB's Little Leagues. That to me is a more important thing to do that would affect real people and affect children, recreational programs with $1 million. Just think what you could do with $1 million if you had it in the black community to really help people. But all they're thinking about really is the election and how it might impact the election. They're not thinking about what happens between the elections.
Ruthie is sick. And so
she's sick? Oh.
She's sick. So she texted her. That's, what's dope.
She texted you?
She texted because Ty wasn't. She said ordinarily she, you know what though? That's what's dope is, as soon as I looked at that and realized that and I checked and she didn't text us after the fact, she texted us before.
But she probably texted Todd too, right?
Right. Well, she was saying she would ordinarily text Todd and tell him, but he wasn't available.
Responsive.
Ty probably watching us smoking one right now. He probably sitting back.
He probably got a little kush, huh?
He got some Jamaican Bombazi, baby.
That kush.
You got the Bombazi? You don't know nothing about that Bombazi. Oh yeah, but can I just tell y'all how crazy it was when I walked in that Obama joint? Them people was looking like, oh shit, what is he about to do? I felt like they was about to put security on me. It was crazy. We back. Over. Stop making a fool out of me. Oh, I don't come on. Hey. I'm gonna have to make Sonya make me a playlist. You are tuned in to the Top of Chicago, 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. Gotta tell Ruthie more. Feel better, y'all. You know what? We was sitting here, got carried away, and realized that Ruthie wasn't here. About to ran out to check on and check the. You know what, Charles? Ruthie brings a certain kind of energy to the show, and I think I felt a vacuum.
She makes the show smile.
Even
if you're listening on the radio, you can feel the show smiling when Ruthie is here.
Did you say Roofie?
I said Roofie.
Roofie? Hey man, you look. The circuit is coming over you, dog. It's getting you. The circuit, look, I'm telling you, the circuit is creepy. Look, Charles gonna be y'all. Sure, you gonna be like, when you gonna get the, what's up, Roofie Mo?
Roofie Mo.
What up, Roofie Mo? Roofie Mo feel better.
The circuit's good.
The circuit, hey man, the circuit.
Pass the hot sauce.
Hot sauce. Look, I'm gonna put some hot sauce on the table every day. Look, y'all, Charles gonna come in here. Next thing, he gonna start banging his hat to the left, right? He gonna come in here, Charles, I didn't know you was a brother. How you get? Man, you go, I just got blessed in, man. I'm on the circuit now. Let me stop. Look, Chicago, you know what? Couple things. Tonight, Charles, we had the real Rick Ross on yesterday. I'll be interviewing him live tonight at Raven's Place. That's 130-31 at Thursday's Theory of Groove, put on by our own DeVita Flute and our own Miss Sonia Escobar is the DJ. So y'all get your tickets. Come on out tonight for an interesting conversation, plus an opportunity to get the book. And you can ask Rick Ross some real questions. Charles, but speaking of real questions, if you could tell JB what to spend his money on to win the black vote, what would you tell him?
Business, black business. And take that money and invest it in, 5 black businesses or 10 black businesses. So that's what we need in this community. We don't need,
well, Charles, didn't Bruce Rauner do that last year? Didn't you?
Bruce Rauner invested $1 million in a credit union. I believe that's what he did last cycle.
Okay.
And JB actually put $1 million into, I think, Illinois Service Federal Bank, the last black-owned bank, or whatever. At any rate, but I say this to these politicians all the time, particularly to the Republicans, because they always wonder, why all you people vote Democrat all the time? And I look at these Republican politicians and I say, you all spent $100 million in the last campaign. How much of it did you spend in the black community between elections? Why don't you take some of that money, just some of it?
You be telling the Republicans?
I remember telling a Republican this and say, why don't you all invest in a little league? Why don't you invest in the little leagues?
Because black kids be like, because somebody be like, that's a Republican. That's a Republican little league, and
I'm not going to join that Republican little league. I said, why don't you all open a campaign office in the ward, and a Republican committee office?
Because of the rats,
and then start investing in the community with some of the money that you spend on TV commercials, and you get nothing from the black community. I said, why don't you put some money in the black community? You might be surprised that people, if they see you care, they might respond to your appeal for a vote.
And they saying, Charles, why do we need to do that when the Democrats don't do none of that stuff and they don't care and y'all still vote for them?
Exactly. But I'm saying to the Republicans, maybe if y'all just tried, you might get a response. But they don't try. They don't put anything in. And why should they get anything out?
So, Charles, Republicans, JB just hit these people $1 million for Obamacare. So he's paying to do the government's job. He's literally paying money out of his own pocket.
Mays, you already answered the question. You said he is courting Barack Obama's endorsement in the governor's race. Come on.
But what about the black people? What's in it for the black people?
He wants to get elected.
But don't he need black people to get elected? So I just want to know, what should he do?
But he knows that all Obama has to do is tune it up. All he has to do is tune it up, and he'll get to black people.
Sonya, tune it up. Now, we got a band? I hope we don't got a... Right. See? I'm telling you. That and a little Frankie Beverly.
That's what I'm talking about. See? If he gets...
Those guys didn't think I would do it.
JB knows all he's got to do is get that, and then Chicago will turn out 95% for JB.
Hey, man, I'm telling you. You know what? As mad as I'm going to be, I'm going to be mad if that happened. But Charles, I went to the thing yesterday, and he put the Obama magic, and he got that down. So, he do his Obama thing, and I'm just telling you, people, all I could see, if he had a step with a spin, with a little...
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. If he and Michelle had to step a set, it's over. Just, close it up, close up the
I'm telling you, JB Pritzker,
so
you want to win, double win, have Barack and Michelle Obama's world largest stepper set, invest $1 million in that, and every black person you got will be voting, and it will be a done deal. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Talk Chicago 1698, and when we come back, we are going to talk to Scott Reeder. Now, I know this guy is a political reporter, but Charles, he's got a podcast about wrongful convictions, and when you hear his stories, you're going to be out of your mind. It's the Talk of Chicago 659. We'll be back.
The Talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation.
Now, you don't know Scott Reeder? Charles?
Huh?
You don't know Scott Reeder?
Yeah, I don't know him.
Okay, but you know of him.
Yeah. I don't know the man personally, no.
I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want me to is alright with me. Let me be the one you come running to. Oh, Lord, with you, sing, yeah. Where am I at? Oh, I want to share this. That's what I'm trying to do. Whatever you wanna do is all right with me. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Electric word, life, it means forever. And that's about a long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The afterworld. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun.
I know better than to go on advertisements to...
Hello, sir. How you been, man?
I'm doing well.
Charles Thomas.
Please don't call me sir. I work for a living.
Have a seat here.
Thank you.
And this is Maze Jackson.
Sure.
I'll bet you.
Is this all right?
Here.
You want me over here?
No, we want you to just get a better
chairs.
chair.
Okay.
Switch chairs. Switch chairs.
I brought this
Hey,
in
come
for
back
you.
over
It's a
here.
story I interviewed you for.
Oh, thank you. Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Come back over
Thank you.
here. There you go. Here you go, sir.
All right.
Is this online too?
It sure is.
Oh, beautiful.
Here you go, sir.
I didn't get an alert. I did not get a Google alert.
Oh.
Sing.
Headphones are working.
Hey. All right, Scott.
Let me see if these working first, Scott.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Charles, you stuck? Charles.
Okay.
Flip that
So
over.
here you've got a new online endeavor, Charles.
A what?
A new online endeavor.
Yeah, it's coming. I mean, I'm working on it. It's hopefully I'm gonna start publishing by mid month. And yeah.
Great. If I get a bottle of water, that'd be wonderful.
I'm going to bring it to you.
Thank you. How many years have you been broadcast?
Broadcast 45.
That's a while.
Yeah, I mean, between Kansas City, San Francisco, Philadelphia, ABC News, Chicago, I guess the first 15 were pretty much spent in outside of Chicago.
Okay.
Last 30 in Chicago. So.
I've been a journalist for 30 years, and I thought I'd moved around a lot. So,
Yeah, I was on the road for a minute, man.
I guess I've been Ohio, Iowa, Texas, Las Vegas, and then Springfield for the last 20 years.
You know, the thing about it today, you don't really have to move around, man. You can do in Springfield what, if you write it and it's good, they will come.
Exactly.
And they come. You don't have to go to the mountain.
That's true. And the cool thing is, you can create your own medium. I mean, when I got out of journalism school, it's like you have to go work for somebody. Now
Right.
you can just create a podcast, and this one, the first season ended up #2 in the world on iTunes. We launched our second season Monday. Yesterday we were number 34 in the world in iTunes for the
Crazy,
second.
man.
Really?
I mean, it's like,
Right, yeah, that you know what I have.
Have you listened to it, by the way?
No, I have not. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I've not listened to it.
No, that's fine.
I've been jammed, but
No problem.
that's the thing.
I'll fill you in.
You're gonna fill us all in, and I think the story that you told me over the phone was just captivating, which has made me.
Now you're gonna give me a little bit of chance to talk about this season too, aren't
Yeah.
you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, I'm saying we're
So,
gonna.
Maze,
We're gonna do this for two segments.
We
Oh, cool.
have a audio of his season 1.
So give me a clip. Find a good clip of
We
it.
do.
Okay.
So do you want Sonny to come back with it? Or you gonna cue on it?
I'm gonna cue on it.
Okay.
I'll cue on it.
So we're gonna do a full hour,
No, half.
half hour.
We'll
Okay.
do a half, and
Okay.
we'll do from 7
Okay.
to 7:30.
Okay.
And you got a little political perspective.
Sure.
So we won't throw you out. So
Okay.
you can sit in, and we'll figure it out from 7 to 8. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right.
Isn't it
it's funny, we got
field of candidates this year?
Wow. We've been talking about, so we got Sharon Fairley coming, right? Look, I just did this.
Don't ask me about Cook County politics because I'm not an expert on it. But.
So you interviewed me, guys. So Scott actually interviewed me for this Illinois Times, and we wound up talking about the podcast. He was talking about this Erica Harold Attorney General race, but we wound up talking about the podcast. And when I heard the story of the podcast, and I hate the phone. Understand, I hate the phone. And I looked at my phone and we had spent 45 minutes talking about this story. And so I think it's very important that you know about it. It's about wrongful convictions, particularly how they disproportionately impact us. So I think this is a great story. I want you to check out his iTunes podcast, Suspect Convictions. But what you were talking about is really what I've been... the point in which Facebook started doing live,
sure,
it helped me understand that you could build your own audience separate from any traditional medium, right? And so now when you look at it, when I get these reports and it says, hey man, you're talking to 750,000 or 1 million people monthly, right? And here's the analytics that show it. I'm saying to myself, well, damn, I just need to grow these platforms and I can take my audience anywhere I want to take them.
Exactly.
And do any content that I want to do without the constraints of somebody telling me, and I can publish it and have it up the same day.
You don't have anybody else's agenda. I mean, it's like you are the boss.
Bingo.
That is what's so cool about it.
Bingo. Bingo, bingo, bingo.
First
and then when I saw what I did look at is the ratings of the podcast. Because I have not completely made the transition to podcasting, right? I still think of the traditional mode. But as I'm starting to get deeper into this, to the understanding, because we're about to launch, we want to do the video. Have you seen the podcast that Jay-Z does on Tidal?
No, I haven't.
It's a video and an audio, so you can listen to it or you can watch it. And we're about to start doing a bunch more of those. I'm doing a series right now called Poli-Sci 101, which is the political history of Illinois.
Cool.
And the response has been off the chain.
I'd love to be on that with you sometime. I've been covering politics in Springfield for 20 years.
So check this out. What we've decided is that now it's going to be Poli-Sci. It's going to be a series.
Oh, cool.
So I'm actually doing a political university where we'll just have people and experts and commenting. So I definitely will have you on without a doubt.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ready? We're back, guys. You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. You know how we do at the top of every hour. Gotta say what's up to the WVON Morning Show team. What's up to Annette Flournoy? Triceps still popping through that dress shirt. Are you doing like you doing them like muscle poses right now? Yeah, you know what? We're gonna have to get Annette a in studio camera. You know what? I'm gonna get my switcher game up. We're gonna start putting cameras all over this place. Plus, gotta say what's up to the musical conductor of the Soul Plane, Miss Sonia Escobar, who will be with me tonight out at at Thursday's Ravens Place, Thursday's Theory of Groove, 13031 Southwestern, the real Rick Ross. Ladies and gentlemen, Let me back up. Charles, I was telling ladies and gentlemen, but Charles, Scott Reeder, the day after we did the Big Kwame interview, Scott Reeder called me in regarding this Attorney General's race, and so I gave him a couple quotes in a little interview. Then he talked to me about this podcast that he had come up with, Suspect Convictions. And you know, everybody wants to tell him about their story. They want to pitch it. They want to, yeah. But then he told me a story, and I said, this is something very interesting that the WVON listeners would want to hear. So, Sonia, play a clip of the podcast for us.
Back in 1990, when he was the night police reporter, he was told to go cover a fire reported at an elementary school.
Instead of seeing a trash fire, I saw a child who had been doused with gasoline and set on fire.
The body was 9-year-old Jennifer Ann Lewis.
The streetlights come on, it's getting dark, she's supposed to be home before the streetlights come on. She wasn't home yet, so I'm thinking she's just out there playing with a friend. She never came home.
Jennifer had been sexually abused, strangled, and set on fire. Stanley Liggins has been charged and convicted twice for this murder, but both convictions have been overturned.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thought it was important that we talk to Mr. Scott Reeder. Scott, welcome to the WVON Morning Show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here, too.
So, Scott, talk to me a little bit about this case and then about this podcast, suspectconvictions.com.
Well, story goes, I've been in the newspaper business or the news business for about 30 years, and I decided I wanted to go out on my own this last year. And, news media's changed so much. And, I was talking to my wife. I wasn't real happy with the job I had at the time, and she said, well, what do you always want to do? I said, I've always wanted to write a book about this murder case I covered as a young reporter. And she goes, well, do it. So quit my job, was writing a book, and I had never listened to a podcast before, and I was riding down the highway with her. She's a veterinarian, and we were to pick up a puppy, and we were listening to the podcast Serial, which is the most listened to podcast in history. And I said, this is a really interesting murder about a possible wrongful conviction. But I said, my murder case is so much more interesting. So I called up a friend, NPR in the Quad Cities, and before the week was out, we had a partnership, and I had a producer to work with for 7 months, and we produced this podcast.
Now tell us about this podcast, and why does this podcast make sense? Why do black people care about it?
Well, here's the story. As you heard, I was a night cop reporter, and I found the body of this little girl that had been doused with gasoline and set on fire. Just a horribly tragic thing. What I remember is about 3 or 4 days after you can imagine the community was this is Davenport, Iowa. The community was just an absolute terror. There was a child killer loose in town. And I think the 3 TV stations all did live shots of the burning corpse. I mean, bringing it into everybody's home. I mean, they were just terror, like I've never experienced in a community before. And there was enormous pressure for the police to arrest somebody. And about 3-4 days after this, they arrested an African-American man who had just been released from prison for armed robbery about a year earlier. And I thought at the time the amount of evidence they had against him was very slim. But we looked at it, and it's like, well, perhaps they know something we don't know. He went to trial. He was convicted. I didn't cover the trial. I was the low man on the totem pole at the time. I was the cop reporter on nights at the time. But the case has always haunted me. And
Scott, what in the case made it stand out to you, though? What made you decide to jump on this case?
I think the little girl had grown up in horribly tragic circumstances. That stood out to me. The fact that this guy was convicted on very little evidence.
And when you say little evidence, what do you mean? What did they convict him on?
Basically, there were 2 people that testified against him that were that the jury hung their hats on. One was a woman who was in a house 2 blocks away from the fire scene. And a week after the arrest, she said she came forward and said she looked out the window of her house just at the time there was a fire, and she saw taillights. And she said she'd recognize those taillights anywhere. And she became the star witness in the trial. They rolled in the back half of the car and unveiled it in front of the jury and turned off the lights in the courtroom and turned on the taillights on the car. And the woman just said, "Those are the taillights I saw. I'd recognize them anywhere. That's the car." And of course, that was the defendant's car. What the jury never learned, or the defense, was this woman had been a paid police informant in 83 other cases. And the lead detective in the case...
There's something in here that we got to point out, which you didn't say. This is a 9-year-old white girl.
Yes.
We didn't say that at the beginning. This is a white child who was killed, and the person arrested was a black man.
That's true.
I'm sorry with that. That's important.
Yeah. Okay. And unfortunately, we still live in a society where those things matter.
So what was the other thing that jumped out?
So it's like, wait a minute, this guy. What's the odds this person that looked out the window happened to be a police informant and was working for the same detective that was the lead detective in the case for this murder? So that really raised a red flag. Then the other person who testified was his cellmate, and he was a career criminal, really tough guy, and he'd said that the guy had confessed to him. So I went to hunting down the cellmate. He just gotten released from prison in Nebraska, drove out to Sioux City, Iowa. I knew he had relatives there. I just started knocking on the relative's door and found his brother, and his brother gets him on the phone. "I don't want to talk to any reporter. I don't want to talk to any reporter." And we started going back and forth. I finally said to him, "Okay, look, guy, I know you've been married. I'm married. I've driven 9 hours out here. If I don't come back with an interview, my wife's just going to kill me. Can't you give me a break?"
And what did you find in the interview?
He said the police threatened him with charging him with accessory to murder unless he testified against this guy.
This black man who was accused of, who was convicted wrongfully by taillights and a cellmate. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk about the rest of this when we come back. Charles, I'm gonna need you to bring the rest of this out and help him come on, get it to the forefront. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. We're talking to Scott Reeder. Wrongful Convictions, SuspectConvictions.com, one of the top podcasts in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, one more case of black folks getting railroaded. We'll talk about it when we come back.
More of the morning.
We got to get to the point where we got to talk about how we got this black man on trial.
Yes.
And reading this, how a jury member on the
white
trial,
supremacist, yeah,
was a white supremacist.
Sure.
Who was on the trial?
That's some red meat there.
All white jury, right?
All white jury.
All white jury, and one of the members of that all white jury was a white supremacist.
That's what you got to get out.
I'm sorry.
That's the point.
Who immigrated from South Africa right when Nelson Mandela came to power. Mm-hmm. Who, I have to tell the story about how he...
You gotta boil it though, because you literally only got, when you come back, 9 minutes.
Okay, I will do that.
So you gotta, and then you want to also let people know about the podcast, because I'm telling you, the story is very deep, but you gotta give the people the meat that would make them want to go check it.
I will
Charles,
do that.
you got it.
Yeah, because we, and this white supremacist,
I hunted him down. He was and he said, "I'm not racist." Then he started expressing some pretty racist views to me. We got him on tape saying that. So it was he was a interesting guy. And they not only put him on the jury, they put his wife on the jury.
His wife was on the jury too?
Yes. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Never heard of that. How in the world could you do that?
I don't know. I have never heard of it either. And you think about like the judge, even if the defense is used all its strikes, wouldn't the judge say, "Gosh, white South African comes to Iowa, immigrates from Iowa, is going to be on a jury. Should we be having him on the jury? I mean, should we at least ask him some questions to see what his racial views are? And especially in a case involving a black man being tried for killing a white girl. I mean, that would just seem to me to be a pretty natural thing to do."
And where is Liggins today?
He is in the Scott County Jail awaiting trial. It's Davenport, Iowa.
In Davenport, he's been in the penitentiary though, right?
Yeah, he's served the whole time at Fort Madison Penitentiary.
That's where Willie Lloyd was.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I interviewed Willie Lloyd, man, before he died. He was hiding out in Wisconsin, in Minnesota.
Okay.
Because, the gangs were trying to kill him. And, yeah. So the guy was basically picked up based on taillights.
Yeah, well, he wasn't even picked up on taillights because they didn't have that evidence for a week. He was he was dealing. He was supplying coke to the parents of the family. He was what? Supplying cocaine to the family.
Who Liggins was.
Liggins was, and the parents were selling the coke on the west end of Rock Island. So that was the connection he had with the family. It was basically a proximity prosecution. I mean, he knew the family, and he had a history of being in trouble with the law, and
he was basically convicted based on information from an informant.
Yes.
And who else?
And a cellmate. That's it.
A cellmate, informant and a cellmate. He ends up in jail, and this jury, and the jury that convicted him, included a white supremacist.
Yeah, you got it.
And you tell me about him.
Okay, I will do that.
And got to do it quick.
I'm sorry.
We got to get to the point so that we can get to the punchline here.
Okay, I will do that.
Mm-hmm.
What is the punchline here?
Well, the punchline is that the guy is a white supremacist, basically.
Right. Here's a black dude that goes to jail. He's convicted by a person who has been paid 83 times by the police, as well as a white supremacist from South Africa.
A cellmate.
Right, cellmate.
The jury.
A white cellmate, by the way.
Right.
A white supremacist and the white supremacist's wife.
On the jury.
Same jury.
Can you believe this?
But that's what you got to see.
I'm sorry.
But you see how you like this.
I'm a prep reporter. I have trouble getting to a point real quickly,
That's the punchline.
You got to help me along here.
It's okay. No problem. No problem. That's funny. I mean, that's not funny, but that's fucked up.
Yes.
Excuse me, guys. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. Like...
But you're gonna give me a minute to talk about the new season too.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
But you're gonna have to create that minute by getting to the point.
Okay.
It's a great story, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
And we want you to promote the podcast.
Yes.
Season 2. Season 2 is still called though.
Suspect Convictions.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's about a murder case in Bloomington.
Huh?
It's about a murder case in Bloomington, the second one.
Illinois?
Yeah, Bloomington, Illinois.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. And we are talking to Scott Reeder. Now, Scott has he's a writer, but he has a podcast called Suspect Convictions. He's got season 2 that was released this week. But we are going back to season 1. So you can kind of get a sense of why you need to tune into this. Charles, help him out, brother.
He's talking about a 1990 case. A 9-year-old white girl sexually assaulted, raped, and burned to death in 1990 in Davenport, Iowa. They pick up a black man, Stanley Liggins, who supplied cocaine to the child's stepfather or stepmother? Stepfather and mother.
Yeah.
And this black man is convicted based on a police informant's testimony as well as a cellmate's testimony. You know how that goes, right? So and in the jury that convicts him, that's interesting.
Tell us about this jury that convicts him.
One of the jury members in particular.
Well, there was a white South African who just...
all-white jury.
All-white jury, white South African on there, just had immigrated when Nelson Mandela came to power to Iowa. That kind of raised a red flag to me. Hunted him down. I said, "Are you a racist?" And he goes, "No, not at all." And I said, then he tells me, "Black people have had a hard life, but, he goes, but he tells me that white people have larger brains than black people." And he starts going on about, I ask about the informant, and that would bother him. He goes, well, no, Scott, because she was black, and black people only scheme against white people. They don't scheme against black people, so I believe her.
So this guy's a dyed-in-the-wool racist.
You got it.
But what else is interesting about this jury in Iowa is...
They not only put him on the jury, they put his wife on the jury, folks. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
So this white supremacist and the white are on this jury that convicts this black man for killing a 9-year-old white child in Iowa in 1990, and you basically bring all this to light in your reporting.
Exactly.
And Scott, so guys, understand that Scott was a night reporter at you had the night watching for the police, and so this thing jumps out at you, and you decide to do a podcast on your investigation of the story. Now, walk us through some of the things that you discovered, or some of the most interesting points. You only got a little time.
Obviously, the informant, the cellmate. We found. We had the father, the stepfather of the child, after the conviction, according to some testimony, got in an argument with the neighbors and supposedly yelled at the neighbor, you know, I killed my daughter and I'm not afraid to do the same thing to you.
Now, where's the black man now?
He is in the Scott County, Iowa jail.
Wait, he's still in jail?
He's still in jail. He's got trial coming up sometime in 2018. We don't know when.
And there's also something else about this case that you uncovered, is that there were police reports that had exculpatory evidence, or evidence that would clear the black man, that they never gave to the black man's defense. And among those reports was a statement that a woman who bought cocaine from the dead child's stepfather said that there was a money deal where the stepfather gave the little girl to some sex freak who wanted to take pictures of himself and the little girl doing things, right?
Well, he said it was that he would, according to this woman, what she had heard is the stepfather would videotape himself with his stepdaughter.
And
the black man is still in jail? Where's the tapes?
And this evidence is here around, but they withheld it from the defense.
Yes.
Scott, okay. So Scott, this launched into a podcast. Now just tell us a little bit about the podcast. So how many episodes is it?
The first season is 17 episodes.
17 episodes. So, and how long?
We go into depth. We look at everything. And we just launched our second season right now, this week. And that was on Monday, and we're already number 34 in the world on iTunes, and I think we'll make it up to number 1.
Well, let me back up. The first season was number 1.
It was number 2.
Number two podcast in the world.
Yes.
Not the country, the world. This story of a black man who we believe could have been wrongfully convicted by a white supremacist jury.
I think we know he was wrongfully convicted.
Right. Iowa, 2 white supremacists. He sold a kid. They got all this evidence, and the brother is still in jail. You know what? Now, talk to me about season 2, because you know what? You really done pissed me off. Excuse me, ticked me off. But tell me how you gonna tick me off in season 2.
Bloomington, Illinois case. Single dad, home alone with his daughter. He breaks up with his girlfriend, wakes up the next morning, goes in the bedroom. His daughter is dead, 3-year-old daughter. Police come. They say it's a natural causes death. That afternoon, he comes back to the bedroom, finds the screens have been cut. He calls back 3 times to the Bloomington Police Department and said, my daughter was murdered. Get a detective out here. They blow him off 3 times. They finally get out there. He goes, here's what I think happened. This woman's violent. She cut open the window, climbed in, and suffocated my daughter. Next day, they had to do an autopsy, and they find that she was suffocated. So they arrest him because he had knowledge, they said, that she was suffocated. If he wasn't the killer, how would he know? Well, she was face down on the mattress with a bloody nose and no other trauma. I think that's a pretty good sign that he could guess it was suffocation.
So, that story, is that another black man?
No, actually, that's a white man.
Okay, so we're going to be checking that out. This podcast series, Suspect Convictions, where can people find it?
at suspectconvictions.com or on iTunes or Stitcher or anyplace else. Trust me, folks, this is a riveting story. I mean, you'll be on the edge of your seat the whole time listening to it.
And I'm going to encourage y'all to go back and listen to season Suspect Convictions. Now, Scott, on your other life, you do politics, and so we're going to have a little political...
I've been a political reporter in Springfield for 19 years.
Oh, you know what? We're going to ask you a little bit about... We're going to talk about city colleges. But, Charles, you think we can ask him about Me Too? Can we talk to him about Me Too just a little?
He's been around there. He's been in the game.
Oh, you've been in the game. Was you out late at night? Did I catch you at JP? Were you at the Globe? You one of them Globe guys? We'll talk about all that when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, 7:30. We'll be back.
Live from the WVON newsroom.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you letting me do that.
Oh no, Scott. I think that
I'd love to come up some other time too.
Man, I think that let's check this out. I'm gonna encourage our listeners to check it out and give us some insight and feedback from it.
You know, I've appeared on radio programs all over the country talking about this podcast. You are the very first African American radio station that's agreed to have me on. I've approached Sharpton and a whole bunch of other folks in other cities. I mean, this thing's listened to in the UK and Australia and every place else.
Can I tell you that I would tell you that probably, especially if you go to the traditional older guys, they don't get the concept of podcasts, right? If it ain't broadcast radio where it's just the way they know how to do it, then they're not really up on the whole podcast. I was saying that I'm just now starting to get up on podcasts,
sure.
But it's because my car is capable, right? Like my car has and I can connect and it's not that hard. But I think that's part of the reason that I wanted to have you on was the fact that I did think that this was a riveting story. Mm-hmm. And I do think that people need to know about it and hear about it. Mm-hmm. And so we asked what's in it for the black people. And that story just resonated. Now, tell me what you think about what's going on in Springfield right now. Do you think there's going to be a Tell me what you think about what's going on in Springfield. And maybe I should make you save it. Save it until we get on air because I don't want you to... I think your first thoughts are going to be good. Mm-hmm. When did this article come out?
Last week.
Okay.
So.
Did I get any good quotes?
You gave good quotes, yeah. And, I think she's a fascinating character. I mean,
Who, Erica?
Yeah.
I think she's fascinating, and I think it's going to be really interesting to have... We're going to talk to Sharon Fairley next.
I don't know her.
She's running as an attorney general candidate.
She's the
Emperor Copa, right?
The police accountability board,
right? But she just came out of the blue, so it'll be interesting to see.
I'd like to meet her. I haven't.
Well, you'll catch her when you can catch her on the way out, or when we can make that happen. If it is a Jesse Rule, if it's not a black attorney general nominee, I could see black people voting for Erica Harrell.
But there's only one vote. It's just Kwame Rigole right now, isn't it? It's African American. No,
Sharon Fairley.
Oh, I didn't know what race she was.
But she's ambiguous, right? Yeah. Fairley. So if you never see a picture of her, right, and you run it over in Beverly and you run in Irish areas, she could get you. You might assume that she wasn't black. Mm-hmm. You'd assume that she was. So there's a lot. We think there's a lot of trickery going on. We actually believe that Sharon Fairley is put in a race by the same people that are funding that J.B. Pritzker's people have put Sharon Fairley in the race to defuse Kwame because they want Jesse Ruiz. That's what we believe.
Wow, that's some scheming.
Hey man, you've been in Springfield to Chicago, man.
I'd love to talk about that, though. Yeah.
I just want to know how far back do you think they're gonna go with these? I mean, you think about what they did to Bill Cosby. I mean, they went back to what, the 50s? Could you imagine if they went back to the 50s?
City colleges, if we can get them on, do you want one tomorrow or Monday?
Monday would probably be better.
So how do you get paid for
what time Monday?
You sell advertising, and we've done very well. First is Google, YouTube selling advertising. So I got a guy in California who sells ads for me. He works for me. Does a good job. Weird thing was he's the son of the Dayside reporter that covered the murder with me, and I went to interview the father, interview him, and I said, what's your son up to these days? He goes, oh, he just he had a music degree from Wheaton, and he was really worried if he'd ever work, and he goes, yeah, he's selling advertising for podcasting and doing marketing of podcasting. I go, that's the set of skills I want. So I hired him, and he's done a great job.
Really?
So if I could hook you up with him if you'd like. He's a great guy. Because you can be an independent podcaster instead of having to affiliate with these networks that take such a huge percentage of your advertising revenue.
Yes.
I'll hook you up with Colin if you like. He's a good guy.
Love to talk to him. Love to talk to him.
And I got my U of I hat on for you.
That is not U of I.
Yes, it is. University of Illinois Veterinary School. My dad.
Oh, the V. I was thinking it was Virginia too, and I'm looking at it like I didn't know that the V. I never saw a veterinary school hat before.
Yeah, my dad was a graduate of the U of I's.
ILL, baby.
And so was my wife. So.
But are you?
No, I'm an Iowa. Well, I got my master's at the University of Illinois Springfield, but I'm an Iowa Stater. I'm a Cyclone all the way.
Boo, not the Cyclones. You know what? Cyclones just got Talon Horton from Simeon.
Yeah.
That y'all got your basketball team's about to take a step further.
They are fantastic.
Yes, they're gonna be good. And he's like, I wanted him to go to U of I so bad. But we got the other guy, and they were like, they can't play because they were on the same AAU teams. What's up, Chicago? I'm sorry, I done skipped all y'all. What up, Keanu Hughes? What up, Theo Wilson? What up, Temu? Hey, y'all, don't forget, tonight I'm interviewing Rick Ross. Hey, and dads, tomorrow night, Allstate Arena. Check us out, Marvel Universe Live. You know what? I'm tired of all the moms doing everything. Let's do something with the dads. My mind, honey, yeah, honey. You are tuned in to the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. And Charles, we have a little overlap. I was going to throw Scott out the studio, but then I realized that he's been a reporter in Springfield for quite some time. So I got two political insiders, reporters that understand Springfield. So I figured, hey, man, why don't we continue the conversation? So Charles.
Charles.
I
know something's coming good.
Me too. I know I can't get off of it. I just can't get off of it. But the fact that there are 27 pending complaints that have all been referred to basically the circular file. Because basically, the women would come in and complain about the sexual harassment to the House and Senate leadership, who would refer it to the Legislative Inspector General.
Who doesn't exist.
Yes. Seems like there's a problem there. And it seems like, I know Ira Silverstein resigned yesterday, and we heard John Cullerton say...
He resigned as a majority leader.
Yes. And we heard President Cullerton say, I take full responsibility for lying to all... What was he taking full responsibility for? Lying to all those women that came in and complained? Tell me, Scott, what you think about what's going on.
It's a bad culture in Springfield.
Step to them.
I'm sorry. It's a bad culture in Springfield. There's been lots of problems.
Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Have you ever been a victim of it?
No.
Okay.
Sexual
harassment. Hey man, y'all act like brothers can't be victims of sexual harassment, man. Charles, you just got through telling me they used to harass you.
Well, I had Yeah, I mean,
but he was a player though. That was before Mary. That was before Mary, bro. That was before.
Player. No, I wasn't no player. I never went down there.
No, not in Springfield. Oh no, that was just us.
No, I mean, no, I just never. Always.
I'm gonna tell for everybody. I used to call Charles and be like, Charles, it's a party tonight, boy. You better get over here. You should see what's going down. Charles be like, I'm headed to Smoky Bones, and I'm going to have some smoked chicken wings. I'm going to have some soft drink, and I'll be in bed. I'll be up at 6.
Drink,
right?
Definitely.
They wouldn't even have a drink with your boy back in the day. So Scott, Charles, have you seen it?
It's an odd culture. I mean, you know, they talk about people having Springfield wives. I mean, where
Wait, you know about Springfield wives?
Oh yeah, I mean, you see them out. They don't hide it. They're out in town with their Springfield wives in the restaurants and wherever everybody's else. So a lot of times they're people that work for them on staff on the state payroll. You know, I mean.
So are you suggesting that they put their own people on the payroll so that they can have their wives employed?
It's been a long practice in Springfield for many decades.
Man, I got to tell you, you would expect that with grown men and grown women around, there's going to be stuff like that going on. But I got to tell you something, man, and I really don't want to go too far afield here.
Go ahead.
But man, here we are. We got the government, state government, consumed by this. When they're, what is it now, $130 billion pension debt?
Yeah.
When the basic government right now is probably, they say $1.7 billion, out of balance. You got all these incredible problems going on in this state, and
this is a distraction.
And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about basically this problem that.
And man, it went to the top of. But Charles, I'm telling you,
it kind of like leaves me kind of like, really? Do we have to do this?
And I feel like this, Charles.
And to be honest with you, I'm telling you, this state has bigger fish to fry. And
why come it's not this? It's
I know people are going to be mad at me. All the women are going to be mad at me. This is the number one issue. No, it isn't the number one issue. The black unemployment rate in Illinois is the number one issue in my mind. It has been, and I've been running around talking about it for 2 years now because everybody in power wants to ignore it. They want to ignore it that we're number one in black unemployment in the country. But we're talking about sexual harassment, which is a problem. I get it. But man, this place has some other issues that I would like to see people focused on right now.
Well, I'm going to say this. I think that this issue has the ability to rewrite what the Illinois General Assembly looks like.
Well, go for it.
I'm saying, no, I fundamentally believe that if this thing continues, you're going to start to see people having to step aside. Scott, you looking at me kind of funny. You saying, nah, it's just going to continue.
After 20 years of covering Illinois politics, I've become extraordinarily cynical about whether change can happen. I'll be honest with you.
Me too. I agree with you. I just think this is a flash in the pan. It all started with this Weinstein business. Weinstein, what is
but why
it? I don't know. That's that thing, and it's a big Hollywood story, and everybody's focused on it now, even in the city.
But Charles, literally, when have we seen any legislation, any action taken this quickly in Springfield? When?
Well, and I think you made a point to me yesterday. I don't know if you made it on that they want to make it go away. They want to make Ira Silverstein the lamb,
ceremonial lamb,
knock him down, get rid of him, beat him up, and then he'll take the fall for everybody, and then they'll write a law, and then everything will be fine. And then, but the black unemployment rate will persist, and the pension debt won't go away.
Speaking of that, so Scott, we talk a lot about the effectiveness of black legislators for the black community in Springfield. Give me your assessment of the role that the Black Caucus plays from an outside view. Like, what role do you see the Black Caucus in Springfield having?
Well, to be very honest with you, my impression is they're the guys who about the only time I see them having much clout in Springfield is when it's budget time and suddenly they all get together as a caucus and say, we're not going to vote for the budget until we get this. And usually the leadership will throw them some crumbs and that's the end of it. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but that's always been my impression.
Don't be sorry.
Damn.
I will ditto. And what the crumbs they get are usually some social services programs, not anything of any real economic substance.
But Scott, I mean, because we have legislative leaders, they tell us that they are so busy fighting the things, they're so busy blocking things that they don't have time to bring home the bacon. Do you see them down there fighting for issues that impact black folks?
Let's be really honest here. Okay, I covered the legislature for 20 years. If you're a rank and file legislator, you really don't have much say, even if you've been there a while, and what gets considered or what gets voted on. It's those in the leadership that are calling the agenda.
Who are the black people from your observations in Springfield who have the clout that can go in and demand and get people to do something?
I think Kwame Arul comes to mind. Of course, I covered a young Barack Obama when he was a state senator there, and it was wonderful to cover. But Kwame Arul, I think of all the African Americans in the legislature, probably has the most amount of clout.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. And so, what about do you think that the Black Caucus, compare the Black Caucus and the Latino Caucus in Springfield for me from your perspective, who's active? Or are they both?
I guess I wouldn't say one has many more clout than the other. I tend to be pretty cynical about anybody outside of leadership having any voice in how things happen in the legislature.
I agree. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think since after Emil Jones left, there really isn't a black lawmaker down there who really has any real clout. They even talk about issues such as the Chicago public schools, which are predominantly Black and Latino, and you just have the small group of leaders and the governor talking about it, and you don't have anybody Black or Latino in the conversation, even at this point.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to, but I feel like I'm interviewing both of y'all now. I got Charles Thomas and Scott Reeder. We are talking what's going on in Springfield, and apparently not very much for black people. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Talk
Not very much for most any people.
Hey, y'all. Well, hey, that could be true. We talk about black people, but here we got Scott Reeder from downstate saying it's not just us, y'all. Maybe we need to have a what's in it for all the people movement. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the Talk Chicago, 1690 AM at 7:48. We'll be back. Don't forget, Sharon Fairley's coming up, 8 o'clock. We got questions.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right, because the rest of the state, they don't have anything to say about this shit.
Exactly.
It's just the leaders. And then it comes down, it really boils down at this point to Madigan versus the governor.
Exactly.
Madigan versus Blagojevich. Madigan versus Quinn. It's just, and the governor can try to be a backstop, whether he's a Democrat or a Republican. But bottom line, Madigan wins. He's never lost.
He's never lost. He's the most methodical, calculating person I've ever met.
Yeah, in fact, Blagojevich put up to fight, but what he end up?
In the bed.
Although I will say, I'm not a Blagojevich defender. I mean, I covered that guy from the beginning to the end. He was one of the most corrupt guys I've ever covered. I mean,
let me ask a question.
Okay.
Was he one of the most naive people? No, not naive. Let me back up. Because could he possibly be more corrupt than this? Okay. I believe that there should be a RICO case for the Democratic Party of Illinois.
Okay.
Right? And I'm saying that there's no way in the world, to me, that Rod Blagojevich could have been as corrupt in a 6-year window than what the corruption that has occurred over 40 years. And if you telling me that in 6 years, this dude, right? I'm saying, All dude did was he just didn't have the ability to write the laws to make what he did illegal legal. Right? Come on, man. How can you simultaneously lower taxes for big business downtown and raise the taxes? You know.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you about the Madigan and the leadership at all on that.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Rod wasn't no cup of tea.
He wasn't the brightest bulb in the marquee either. I mean, Madigan's shrewd. Blagojevich was not shrewd at all.
Right. I guess, like, you know, it's all the narrative and it's all the control. Because I still think if you were to ask black people right now, I think if I'm telling you right now, Rod Blagojevich came back and ran for election right now, he'd get at least 30% of the black vote off bat. I'm telling you. Black people still living off them free rides, man. Them senior, he catered to the black community. I just feel like we just have become used to the whole Madigan thing. Like, I mean, they just do it in your face.
You'll do on your shower curtain. You just can't get rid of that.
It's like you look in the only thing that is stopping see, I believe that this case, this stuff right here, could be a issue.
I don't think so, Madigan. I think Madigan, for one thing, I think for all of his multitude of faults, he's very much in love with his wife. I've never even heard a hint of anything like...
Who's that?
Madigan.
No, I'm not talking about him doing anything. I'm talking about him burying or covering it up for protecting this culture. Right? So, if I think
that, look at how many horrible things that have happened in the last 40 years have come out. And that Madigan is allowed to happen, and he's still there. It's like he's got the power. They're all afraid of him. And unless folks in that little legislative district of his on the south side turn against him, which I think is exceedingly unlikely, he's going to be there for a while.
Yeah, but it's almost like he's got to understand at some point that people don't want him there, but he doesn't give a shit.
He don't have to, but he doesn't have to, right? Can I tell you know, with them guys, it was like, bro, they just know the math, and it's like they just become bulletproof. If you can't touch me in my district, which is the same reason they keep all the black folks voting the way that they do against us. If you can't beat me in my district, I don't care how morally good, I don't care what it is. So we're going to make sure that the black guys don't have no candidates so you can keep voting.
Yeah, well, he has the lowest, they say he has the lowest political overhead in compared to his power in the country. There's no politician with a lower political overhead than Mike Madigan.
What do you mean by overhead?
He wins. All he's got to do is campaign before 80,000 people.
Oh, you got it. Yeah.
To get that amount of power in the fifth largest state in the country.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
We back, y'all.
And it's even lower now because a lot of his constituents cannot vote.
Yeah, they're undocumented. Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's amazing.
Or even the documented ones who citizens can't vote.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Woo! Don't blame it on the moonlight. I blame it on the boogie. Sunshine. Moonlight. Uh-oh, the entourage. Uh-oh, Charles, I think I saw the entourage pulling in the garage, man.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, 8 o'clock.
She's got an entourage.
She got an entourage already.
She's got a campaign put together.
How she campaign all quick, man?
She's paying people, and I was talking to one of her
She got paid people already?
Yeah,
Did she have a fundraiser?
She's got staff, man. She's got a consultant. She's got like a person that walks her around. I mean, but they can't really tell me who's backing her campaign yet. We want to ask her that because they say she's working the phones, getting donations. We're talking about Sharon Fairley.
I was going to say,
who's running for the Attorney General's job, and but while some of the other candidates have big name, very wealthy donors, we don't know who. Does she have a big name, very wealthy donor?
So we're going to ask her that and much more at 8 o'clock. Now, Charles. No, I didn't do Charles. We got the temperament, right? So you got to know when it's coming.
Who does it?
Your wife, Mary.
My wife, she does it. Charles.
Can I tell you something? That is one of the biggest things that WVON people, when I was out at the fair, come on, say Charles, Charles. And then somebody was like, you got to stop saying Charles' name so much, man. You be like, Charles, Charles. Look, they coming, look, coffee's kicking in.
Yeah.
We are talking about state politics. We also were talking about Sharon Fairley. We've got Scott Reeder, who has his podcast, Season 2, Suspect Convictions. But I want to encourage you to go back and check out the first one because, man, that's a little crazy. But, Scott, you also spent a lot of time reporting in Springfield. And it was interesting when I asked you, what black legislator did you feel had clout in Springfield? You immediately proceeded to Senator Kwame Raoul.
Let me give a caveat. He has the most clout of African American legislators in Springfield, but that ain't much.
Damn! You bogus for that. You could have left it alone. You could have just let him. Now, look. Now I'm telling you, you got to be careful when you do that. He might call and check you. He gonna see you somewhere. He might offer to take you outside and check you. So be careful.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Did you hear that?
I watched that episode.
I was thinking, Scott, how you gonna be the chief law enforcement and be taking me outside? This is
to
what
enforce the law.
He was going to enforce
regulators.
Mount up. So we got this attorney. Lisa Madigan suddenly drops out of the race. I'm gonna ask your insight on that. What do you think that was? Do you think it was burnout and she didn't want to have to face the Madigan challenge?
I think it's my personal opinion is she was polling at 34%.
Wait, what? Polling at 34%?
Yeah. I actually got it quoted right there. It's a Republican poll found. That's when Erica Harold got in the race, and they were saying Lisa Madigan was polling at 34%. Now, mind you, that's somebody that's been in office for 16 years. Erica Harold, she's polling less than that, but nobody knows. She's new. I mean, you wouldn't expect her to be polling very high. But I think that, Bruce Rauner spent $50 million bashing the Madigan name and 4 years ago, and he's probably going to spend another $50 million bashing the Madigan name, and it's bleeding over to his daughter. I mean, a lot of people, especially downstate, that look and say, I can't vote against this Mike Madigan. I'm not in his legislative district, but I can sure vote against his daughter.
I agree with you. I think that there was some. At that point that poll was taken, there certainly had been.
Have y'all heard her commercials?
But check it out, Maze. I think we hadn't heard her commercials where she would have to counter and redefine herself and separate herself from her dad. She hadn't had a chance to do that since 2014, since Rauner has started really beating up on her dad. Mm-hmm. So I think you're right, Scott. I think that's a great analysis that she was really showing some wear and tear from what was happening to her dad, and it may have frightened her because she has some other legs under her. She could run for some other stuff, like when Dick Durbin retires, she could run for U.S. Senate, can still do that. There was talk about her maybe running for mayor.
Man, I'm telling you, Charles, everybody loves Lisa Madigan.
She doesn't want to damage herself by getting beat statewide for Attorney General or having a close race.
Charles, everybody loves Lisa Madigan. What are you talking about? Have you heard those commercials? Like the part when they be like, Lisa Madigan!
When they do the choir? They have the gospel choir?
I'm telling you, everybody loves Lisa Madigan.
She's a very affable person, but and I've always had a positive relationship with her. But, I'm just saying that people are angry at her father, and a lot of them would take it out on her.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Scott Reeder. Scott has a new podcast, Suspect Convictions. You can get it on suspectconvictions.com. You can also get it on iTunes. Also, check out his article. I'm quoted in it, The GOP's Fresh Face. Scott's got an interesting concept on why Lisa Madigan didn't run. We'll talk about all that. But, ladies and gentlemen, up next, candidate for Attorney General Sharon Fairley. Charles, I got questions. We'll talk about it when we come back at 7:59 on Talk Chicago.
The Talk of Chicago and the voice of
Thanks, Scott. We appreciate you coming in, man. What else you got going on up here today? What you doing?
Actually, I am going to try to catch a train back as soon as I can to Springfield. So,
really?
Yeah.
You mean you came all the way up here just to be on WVON?
Well, no, I came up to interview the widow of murder victim in Joliet, and then I just thought, well, I'm going to be up
you
here.
know what, man? That's karma, because people are going to drive to you to get to the podcast.
You think so?
Yeah, man. If you clocking them like you say you clocking them, number 2 in the world or whatever it is, you know.
Oh no, it's big. It's huge.
Big. It's huge, man. You know?
Well, thank you. It's good. It's a good experience. So, yeah. Well, thank you.
So, do they take you all over? Have you had to travel for it?
Just
like,
myself.
do they? Oh no, they haven't. Like, people haven't flown you in or like any of that good stuff.
No, they haven't had that happen yet.
Okay.
But, so I'm not a celebrity yet, which is just fine with me.
That's okay, as long as it pays.
No, you're a celebrity here in Southside, aren't you?
No, I'm not a celebrity. I'm a PI, man. Nobody cares about me.
People know who Maze Jackson is. People in Springfield know who Maze Jackson is.
They all like, fuck that Maze Jackson. He's an asshole. No, nobody knows me.
They created Maze Jackson.
I'm just a little guy.
They could have co-opted Maze Jackson a long time ago, but they didn't. And they created him as Frankenstein. He's a Frankenstein monster walking around taking care of business. I love that. Yeah. I wouldn't be here if they had co-opted him. I would not be here, man.
I'm just saying, I think that one of the things that I think, Scott, is when you said that about the clout, I always think that it is crazy to me that there's no black. You can identify white power lobbyists. You can identify the Victor Reyes's of the world in Springfield. There's no black, to me, there's nobody black that they feel like they have to consult like on anything. Like, I don't see black guys on any of the big contracts. Like, when you see all of the big bills coming down, they told me that if I wanted to get on in Springfield, they put me, like, so here I am working.
They put you where?
With Victor Reyes. When I said I wanted to get on, like, so I see that the largest caucus is in Springfield, our Black Caucus. I know all of these people. I go down, I can't get no work. They say, well, why don't you go work for Victor? And I'm like, damn, why do I need to work for Victor? If all y'all out of votes, I got to come get. So I got to go through Victor to come talk to the black people instead of just talking to the black people.
But you did that for a minute, right?
Oh, yeah, I did.
So what?
I got frustrated with the fact that everything that we did, my job was always to go to the black legislators to cross out black people. And it really didn't make sense to me. Like, when you're lobbying, you don't get it. It's like, man, you trying to make your money. You got the pro or the con of the issue. It don't make no difference. They give you the one-sheeter. You sell it. You go in. And most of the times, because I got the relationships with the legislators, they like, man, that's your vote, I got you, unless it's some big deal. Then you start to read it, and then you start to see when people start inserting things. And it wasn't so much that I saw the disenfranchisement of black folks as much as I saw them continuing to insert stuff. Oh yeah, we gotta swap you out. You know, Sonya, take care of it. So Scott,
thank you, sir. Appreciate
thank you, my friend.
Yeah,
keep us
call
up
me
to
if
date.
you ever need somebody just to be to come on the air on the Just Talk Politics. Give me a
so
call
you know
sometime.
what? We definitely need to do that, and that'll be a great, especially when we talk Springfield politics.
Sure,
that'll be a good thing. I'll make sure that Todd puts you on the rotation, and we got you.
Okay.
Thank you, my man. Appreciate you.
Have a good one.
What happened to Diamond Turner?
They treated her like she was trying to hoop her.
Diamond and Tiana Bradley they was some gas station babies that are in Saudi Arabia right now. That's what happened to them kids.
You think so?
Hell yeah. Man, let me tell you, them was some gas
station babies. What do you mean by that?
The Arab, mama had babies with some Arabs, and Arabs.
Oh, that's what they did?
Arabs took them babies and went them
That's who their father was?
That's what my mama said.
Huh?
That's what my mama said.
That's what your mama said.
But I believe that's what she said.
Do they even know who the baby daddies are?
Kind of.
Huh?
Kind of. There's some suspicion. This is Maze Jackson and you and me talking. This ain't a confirmed fact. But the suspicion is that, that happens oftentimes too. You know they do that with the boys. Like when they have these babies with these girls, they don't want the girls though, usually. They be like, you keep the girl. But if they got a boy, they'll pay you money to take them. And then they take them and send them over to the...
Wow. Yeah, I hadn't heard that theory in years, but... Gas station babies. I never thought of put like that.
Gas station babies? You don't know about gas station babies?
I know about gas. No, I don't know about gas station. No, I don't know about gas station babies. I realized that
you
they will take your baby if they think that they made it.
And they be at the gas station.
The gas station.
Yeah. But at the gas station, when it's poor girls at the gas stations and the corner stores, when it's poor girls, bro, and they trying to eat and stuff, they be banging them little girls out for food and milk and eggs and all that stuff, bro. It's crazy. What goes on in that, that's another reason I can't stand them damn corner stores. And you can see all the little gas station babies running around there. And then what's crazy is the little black girls be like, ooh, I want to have me a pretty baby. And they think it's pretty or they think it's cute because they got a light-skinned, funny-eyed baby. Tell dude, like, I ain't got nothing to do with you. Now give me that baby, I'm going to jihad your ass. These streets ain't nothing nice.
Good hair, baby.
My baby got good hair. And don't let him get some eyeballs on him. Woo-wee! Uh-oh. Look like the Sharon squad is in the building. Look at them numbers. Usually we peaking at 7. We're peaking at 8. 112. Will they get her? Look, you think how many people? Yo, you think Charles is going to find out where the money comes from?
Where the money at? Where the money? Who got the money? Who got the bag? Who's your
Chinaman?
Ah, you ain't supposed to say that, Maze.
Hey, man.
Maze, I got to tell you, man, you better, now here we go. Now we're going to get the Asian American Anti-Defamation League all mad at us and everything because you used the C word.
You ain't going to want me to do this on the camera and be like, no channel.
No, man. Oh, Maze, God. Oh, my God.
You can't, I can't do this?
Oh, man. Look, do I have to read the disclaimer? Neither Charles Thomas nor the management at WVON 1690 AM Midwest Broadcasting Corporation takes any responsibility for these moments.
Y'all couldn't see what I was doing though. Y'all was looking at Charles. See, I'm just saying. But I didn't think Chinaman was a bad word.
It is, man. They don't like that, man.
What's the other one? Mexican gunfight.
There, but they're gonna like that. You can't realize this you are.
Yeah, you can't say Chinaman?
No, man. That's
Chinaman.
Chinaman. You can't say that.
Man from China?
No.
That's bad too?
I don't know about that, but I do know that putting it together like
Where
that.
is she?
I don't know, man. That's what I was asking.
What y'all doing?
That's what I was asking, man.
Where's she at?
Why do people have to walk in here at the very last minute?
Because they don't want no time on this camera, dog.
That's ridiculous.
They don't want none of this. They don't want none of this. They watching like, uh-oh. She didn't want to have to do the yoga.
Oh, that's what it is.
Hey, what?
She didn't want to do the...
Hey! 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 Hey!
He's doing his yoga stuff. Have a seat here. Sure.
Hello, Miss Fairley. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good.
You were supposed to do yoga today, Sonya. What happened?
Oh, God. Let me do my yoga. Let me see. If I got some yoga moves. Okay.
You want to try those on to see if
that's all I get.
Sonya, don't go. Let's get the earphones on and everything. Make sure. Can you hear it? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm saying ones that what's his face at.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so she can.
Okay.
Baby, bend over. Baby, bend over. Uh-oh, look, there goes Sonya getting that yoga. Let your booty do that yoga. Never do what I'm supposed to. Bend and never break. You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas. But you know how we do at the top of the hour. When you hear that song, you know it's time for the 8 o'clock stretch. I got to get my yoga on. Now, you know what? We can't seem to get Charles, but I think we got everybody else. Sonia Escobar, she was She was doing something. Then the other Sonya Square came in here. She started pulling her leg up and doing all type of crazy stuff. Now, Nat Flournoy and Charles are both looking at us like we all damn fools. But it's all good, y'all. This is the WVON Morning Show. You know how we get down. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, first of all, I want to send a shout out to Scott Reeder. Also, don't forget the South Suburban Jazz Crawl. And I will be interviewing the real Rick Ross tonight while my girl Sonia Escobar is on the Wheels of Steel at Ravens Place. That's right, because we're going to be at Thursday's Theory of Groove, 13031 Southwestern. Don't forget the Jazz Crawl. You know what, WVN? We got so much going on that I almost forgot. It's a big day, Charles.
Big day?
Charles, it is a big day because you know what? We are finally going to get to talk to somebody. We've been searching. We've been trying to figure it out. We had questions, comments, concerns. We ain't know what was going on.
She did a little yoga, too.
Did she? You know what? Let me hold on. Let's see you get a little yoga in you. You got a little yoga in you, too? Now,
oh, yeah.
Uh-oh. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
In what has quickly become one of the crowded fields and the most crowded races in the state of Illinois, we have a candidate here for Attorney General. Charles, official.
Yes, Sharon Fairley, who most recently, in her most recent incarnation, was the head of COPA. And prior to that, the Independent Police Review Authority.
Back up. What's COPA? Come on, man.
COPA,
we got
you got to help. She'll
sure.
give me that.
Pull that mic to you.
Sure. COPA is the Civilian Office of Police Accountability.
Okay.
And it's a new city's the city's new police oversight agency, and it officially took on its role September 15th of this year.
And a week later, Sharon Fairley, you resigned to run for Attorney General of Illinois.
Damn, what happened?
Yeah, well, so first of all, let me make clear that those were two completely separate decisions, right? So I had decided that I believe it was in the best interest of the agency for me to pass the baton on after the launch. And the reason is this, and it became even more clear in the weeks leading up to the launch, that because I was brought in during the problematic IPRA era, that I was always going to be a tie and a sort of an anchor, right? Tying the agency back to that era.
You're going to be an albatross.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you were with the past.
Right, because I would go places and people would say to me, well, what's different about this agency because you're still there, right? And so I had already made the decision that it was really an appropriate time for me to pass the baton. And so the timing of me entering the race was just, one of...
But didn't you know that a week before you entered the race? I mean, because it was so, they started COPA and you were there.
Yes.
So why?
So when if anybody had been listening, I've been saying all along that I committed to stay with COPA through the transition. And that's what I did.
That's fair.
And so, I really think that the agency is poised to do great work, and I'm really excited about how, the great people that are there. And I left in place a fantastic leadership team that is like so smart and so bright and so committed to the mission. They're going to be great.
So Sharon, I do politics here in Chicago, been doing it for a while, state of Illinois, and I've never seen you on the political scene.
Right.
Where did you come from?
Right, yeah, no, I'm definitely not a politician.
Okay, but forget politician. Like, talk to me about your Chicago roots. Where do you come from? Who's behind you? Chinamen, I'm not allowed to say that. I'm sorry, Charles.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, I came to Chicago in 2003 and when I was going to the law school, right? And so I went to the University of Chicago, the law school, and I've been here ever since because I fell in love with the city and I decided to stay here and build my life here and build my career here.
Where'd you come from?
I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland. So I was born in D.C. and I was raised in Silver Spring. I was raised by two public servants. My mom was an elementary teacher in Montgomery County, Maryland, and then she and my dad went to Stanford in '68 and got their master's degree, and they both moved into administration. So my mom in the 70s was actually the highest ranking black woman in education in Montgomery County, Maryland. And my dad worked for the what was then the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. and then ultimately became the Department of Education. And he, during the 60s, was part of the teams that would go into the South to desegregate schools. He worked on Head Start. He worked on Title IX. He did some amazing things. He was my hero.
So, Sharon, but let's get back to you. I guess my question is, this is a town where nobody wants nobody to nobody sent.
Right.
So what makes you think you can cut through all of that and run for Attorney General?
Well, first of all, I'm not nobody sent.
Okay.
So
Who sent you?
Sent me.
Who sent you?
The people that are backing me now. And
Who?
so I have a lot of there's a lot of women and a lot of people, leaders in the city who are supporting my campaign.
Give us some names.
So, for example, Denise Gardner, the Crown, Stephen and Nancy Crown. So you can look at my A1 list and you'll see who.
Stephen and Nancy Crown. That's big money, right?
That's big money.
Yeah.
So who black is supporting you?
Who black is Denise Gardner, Dana Rice. Do you want me to name?
I want you to name not all of them, but we do want to know kind of who are the people that our audience know that's supporting you.
Sure, I have the support of the Black Women Lawyers Association. I have. I'm trying to think who else. I can't think of. Give me some time to think of more names, but I have a lot of support.
But
right?
let's go to one really central point here. Kwame Raoul.
Yeah.
Who was a well-known Democratic state senator, is running for the job.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of entered into the race after him, or you did enter into the race after him. And there's a lot of concern that you're going to split the black vote, and that because both of you are running, neither of you will win.
Okay.
Address that for me.
Well, first of all, I think it's way too early to actually have that concern. The race just got started. We have months before this race is really going to play itself
Why is
out.
that too early to be concerned about?
We got TV commercials on right now.
Yeah, because our the campaigns are really just getting off the ground, and we have months before this primary. And number one, I'm not trying to split the black vote. I'm trying to get all the black vote. So to sort of discount my campaign just because it's new right now.
I'm not discounting your campaign.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there are two black candidates running, and we know the racial nature of Illinois politics and Chicago and Illinois politics.
Mm-hmm.
Split the black vote, somebody can come up the middle.
Well, like I said, I think it's too early to be concerned about that. I think that there is still time for the black community to coalesce around one candidate who can then take the race, and that's what I'm trying to do.
I heard that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:17 on the Talk Chicago. We are talking to Sharon Fairley. She is a candidate for Attorney General. We're going to continue this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Talk Chicago 8:17. We'll be back after traffic and weather. Okay, cool. Right. So Sharon, help us. So just talk like now. You do realize you're on Facebook Live and YouTube.
Yeah.
So what? I guess I can't even ask you that because I want to ask that on the air.
Yeah, ask her on the air.
I'll ask you on the air. So Sharon, talk to us. Talk to the WVON listening audience viewers. You can tell them about what they want to know. Charles, see if they got any questions. Hey y'all, if y'all have questions for Sharon Fairley, let us know. We'll ask them during the breaks as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So Sharon, you mentioned the I don't know if this is on the air, but you mentioned your connection to University of Chicago.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the history of University of Chicago here with the black community?
Which aspect of it are you talking about?
The part where they have been accused of being one of the biggest enforcers of racial segregation on the South Side.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm familiar.
How do you feel about that characterization? Because you come from there, right?
Well, I went to school there and I actually teach there, so I have a lot of affinity to the university, and I think it's a really unique institution. I do believe that they're committed to the community in which they reside. Now, maybe they're not always making the good decisions about how they implement that commitment, but it's my view that they are trying to do it the best that they can.
Okay.
And I think you, at some point, think about it, but we gotta ask her, what are you going to do as Attorney General, and why do you think you could win? Don't do it now. Don't do it now. Yeah. But we gotta get that out there, I think, up front here, so that we can get it out of the way and we can go into some of the more.
Sure, absolutely. Obviously I've been spending a lot of time thinking.
And I'm sure that's your talking points. We don't want to spend a lot of time on that. But once you let you do that, and then we can go to some of these issues that affect the black community specifically. Because there's a lot of stuff
I think we don't want to talk to you about black specifically.
It seems like after all these years with Lisa Madigan, a lot of stuff has just happened that hasn't happened too.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I think you're right about that.
We'd like to get rid of.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of things that she's done a really good job with.
Sharon, who is your campaign manager?
Dave Millay.
Where's he from? I don't know, who's he?
I'm not sure where he's from, but he's been in Illinois for a while.
Whose campaigns? What was his last one?
He Change Illinois. He ran that campaign.
What? Say his name again? Dave?
Dave Millay, M-E-L-L-E-T.
Okay. Who's communications director?
Joanna Klonsky.
Let's see. Who's doing your fundraising?
It's a new guy. His name is Nick. He's just starting today. So
What's he? Is he from Chicago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nick, what's his last name?
I'm blanking on his last name right now, but he worked on Kim Fox's campaign. If you let me look at my phone. I can tell you his last name.
What was that, Scott? What was the guy who was at Emperor before you, Scott? What's his name?
Ando,
yeah, man, he was... Man.
Nick Daggers.
What college did you go to?
Me?
Yep.
Princeton.
Ooh, baller.
Got that pedigree.
Well, education was a really big value in my family. So
mine too.
My grandmother on my father's side went to Oberlin and got her degree in statistics in 1923.
Oh, so she was like a Hidden Figures kid.
1923. And then she was the vice principal at Dunbar High School in
So
DC.
you go way back with the Afro Stockers.
You in the boule? You in the boule?
I don't know.
Are you in a fraternity? In a sorority?
No, my mom's a Delta, but
okay.
They didn't have sororities at Princeton, so I didn't do that.
They didn't.
They have a different.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
they got Skull and Bones. You got real secret societies at Princeton, boy.
They have this thing called eating clubs. It's kind of weird, but that's the kind of social system that they have.
Were you ever in private practice?
No.
As a lawyer?
No. As a lawyer, I've only ever worked.
You were a U.S. attorney.
Always public service, right?
Always public service. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I did my corporate stint before I became a lawyer. I've been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, this is. I'll never go there.
You better not be taking all the den questions.
Huh?
Crazy. You know the den goes in, so be careful with the den questions.
This is just kind of like, I don't know what to do.
I think we're back, guys. I hear it. Yeah, we're back.
I gotta come up with some music, don't I? My goodness.
Please, some non-kill the youth, because
what?
you're pretty popular. She's pretty popular.
Oh yeah.
Because on YouTube, she got the YouTube numbers spiking. Ooh. So people were calling me yesterday like, you better be nice to her. I was like, you don't tell me what to do.
I could swear I was falling. Swear I was falling. Said it's almost like being in love.
You are tuned in to the Talk of Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Mace Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas, in the building. And we are talking to Sharon Fairley. She was the former director of COPA.
COPA and IPRA, actually.
At the Copacabana. And now she is running for Attorney General. Charles, take it away.
I want to ask you something. I'm off the path here for a minute. But you were appointed to lead COPA, or IPRA, first of all,
yes,
by Mayor Emanuel. How do you think Rahm Emanuel is doing as mayor? You've been here throughout his tenure.
I think, I think his heart's in the right place. I mean, I think that he It's a tough job.
His heart's in the right place. What does that mean?
I mean, I think that he wants to do right by the city.
Has he done right by the city?
I think that there are some issues that obviously that there are things that he could have done differently. It's a tough job. That's a job I would never want.
Would you vote for him again if he were run for? If he says he's running for re-election, would you support him for re-election?
I got to see who else is running.
Dang.
Good question.
Good answer. Good answer. Okay, so Sharon, I got some questions as well. Talk to me about your thoughts on sanctuary city and a sanctuary state.
So, I believe that we are all people, and that, people are people. They want to just live their lives. They want to earn enough money to make a living and support their families and be safe in their homes. And I believe that we should treat all people the same way.
So, but wait. So you don't make a distinction between U.S. citizens and non-U.S. citizens. And the reason I'm asking that is because right now, Illinois has the highest black unemployment. It's one of the worst states in the country for black people to live. And we're recruiting more people here who are not citizens. And you're saying all people should be treated the same?
Yeah, you know what, Mace?
Black people aren't being treated the same.
Yeah, you know what, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one. I know how you feel about this, Maze, and this is something that I find really frustrating. This sort of this argument that we're having right now, because to me it falls prey to everything that the Trump and the Rauner administrations are trying to do. They're trying to divide us and separate us and pit us against each other, and that's the way they break down the system so that they can control us all. And I just won't go there.
Okay, so then Sharon, let me ask you a question. Let's talk about the Democratic Party of Illinois and the fact that here in Cook County, black folks have not really voted for a Republican ever. But again, it's the worst state for black people in Illinois. Tell me what you would do to fix the inequities in the Democratic Party for black people.
So, I'm not a politician. I'm not here to fix the Democratic Party, right? I'm here to run for an office for which that I feel I'm the most qualified candidate, and that's why I got into the race. And so my goal is to win the office and then use the office to help black people, to help all people, including black people.
And how would you help black people in the Attorney General's office?
So, they're first and foremost, obviously I come from the criminal justice system. And so a big priority for me is going to be about public safety. And I think that that's an issue. Obviously, that's an issue here in Chicago.
What about it?
Well, we have kind of a violent crime problem. We also have an over-incarceration problem. And there's no trust between our law enforcement community and the community. And those are all things that I think that the Attorney General's office can play a much more proactive role, a much more strategic role in addressing. And so that's going to be the cornerstone. And that includes, police reform.
We talked about, employment, the black unemployment rate in Illinois either being the highest or among the highest rates in the country for black people here. The building trades, you're around downtown all the time. You don't see very many black people working on those projects. What can an attorney general do to enforce fair employment, fair hiring in the building trades in Illinois?
Well, I mean, I'm not real familiar with that particular issue, but what I can say is the Attorney General, enforces the rule of law, and where there's discrimination in hiring processes and employment processes.
And there apparently is, because we don't work in those jobs. What are you going to do to?
So you can identify the employers who are violating people's constitutional rights, and then use the rule of law to stop that.
What about unions? Would you go after the unions on that?
So what do you mean go after the unions?
Well, I mean, the unions are the ones who are in control of who's working, what boots are on the ground. What can you do, or can you do anything to improve the hiring or increase the hiring of black people on building trades, construction jobs?
Right. So my goal as Attorney General, my goal would be to use the law and the power of the office to ensure people have equal opportunity to work and earn a decent living and earn a fair living, and to protect their constitutional rights. And so if unions are violating someone's constitutional rights, then if the office can use, if there's a rule of law that can be used to prevent that, then we would do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Sharon Fairley. She is a candidate for Attorney General here in Illinois in a very crowded race. She was the former executive director?
Chief administrator.
Chief administrator. I'm sorry, I want to make sure I got it right. The chief administrator of COPA. When we come back, I got a couple questions. One of the questions, and I want you to think about it, is,
sure.
We've seen that there are 27 cases that are pending on this Me Too thing down in Springfield, sexual assault. I want to know, do you think that anybody that was involved in that, if they're found guilty, should be removed from office, and would you enforce that as the Attorney General? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue this conversation when we come back.
Live from the
So yeah, like this Me Too thing, and you can talk about it when we come back, but with 27 pending cases that went to leadership, right? That these women went to leadership and said, I have been sexually harassed, assaulted, whatever it is. The leadership then said, don't you worry, we're going to refer it to the legislative inspector general, knowing that there was no legislative inspector general. It seems to me that they were complicit in protecting a system of sexual discrimination and harassment. Would you go after those same party leaders for that?
Absolutely. That whole is a travesty. I mean, it's ridiculous. Absolutely.
What were you guys talking about? I'm sorry.
So I'm saying, but what would you do about... So we're talking about Me Too, right? Because the premise that the leaders, right, these are going to be the same leaders that eventually would be not responsible, but would have to be probably instrumental in you getting elected, right? So you got Madigan, you got Cullerton, who run all the legislature across the city. They knowingly referred these sexual harassment cases to a non-existent office, a place where nobody listens, there's nobody in the office.
Right.
Seems to me that they're complicit.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is, in some sense, why is anybody surprised by this, right? Because legislatures are always going to try to, push back on oversight. I mean, look how long it took for the city council here in Chicago to agree to have, effective oversight of them, right? And so this is not that surprising. But the extent of the actual sexual harassment allegations is crazy, right? It's crazy ridiculous. And
so how would you address it?
To the extent that the Attorney General has the power to investigate and hold those people accountable, I absolutely will. But the problem is, I'm looking at the statutes as they presently exist, and I don't know if they have sufficient teeth to do that. And so that's why the first thing I would want to do is to approve the statute that governs the Illinois Inspector General's office.
So basically, they don't get away from it.
Yeah.
But basically, you think they're all going to get away with it?
I don't know, and I hope not. But this is something that we all need to focus on. And if they can't be prosecuted under the law, then they can. It's a political office, and people can use their votes to get them out.
But if you don't have an opportunity to vote on a person like Mike Madigan, right, or John Cullerton, I'll never have the opportunity to vote for either one of them. Would you call for their resignations if they protected this?
Absolutely.
Okay. Interesting.
We see this, this preoccupation with sexual harassment.
Right. Okay.
What about racism?
Right.
I don't.
Your choice.
Huh?
Charles' choice.
Oh, but you play anything with Ella Fitzgerald.
LL Cool J.
I vote for Ella too.
What about racism? I mean, we got this preoccupation with sexual harassment. But
you are talking to a black woman here.
Yeah, but I mean,
come on, you can't.
Right, but I'm saying you still don't even.
You can't make me choose between which.
But you can make that.
But I can't. No, I can't because I don't. Sometimes I've been discriminated against. I don't know which one it is. So you can't ask me to make that choice.
Yes, you can. You're gonna have to as Attorney General.
No, I'm not.
Why not?
No, I'm not. Because where there's constitutional violations on the base of gender or race, those are both constitutional violations, and I would go after both of them. I don't think that there's a choice that has to be made.
Well, I think I mean clearly. I mean, I don't think people have really gone after racism.
They have never even addressed racism.
Institutionally.
They don't even address racism.
I'm not saying it's the AG, but I mean, you look at the water department and the racism that's been going on there for many, many years.
That's a whole different issue.
Well, from the race, but right. I mean, there has been no concentrated effort to go after that. They just don't. I mean, racism is not given the same kind of attention. Even the media, I mean, right now is going nuts over this sexual harassment thing when racism has been going on for, man, give me a break. Damn, yeah, I've never seen it.
I think what we see is this, because I can empathize with Charles. So here we see Laquan McDonald got shot 16 times, right?
Yep.
And there was a long time it took to bury it and then come back, but we still ain't seen no legislation that's gonna protect black kids from getting shot. We ain't seen nothing like that. Right now, the whole entire Springfield, the world is moving because this lady said that he commented on her abs and she felt uncomfortable, but we all have been traumatized from watching this dude get shot 16 times, and it's like we can't get nothing done in Springfield for that, but everybody.
So that issue is one that I feel very passionate about in terms of the legal framework around use of force. And this is something that I've literally spent the last 2 years working on and pushed. At least the police department's new use of force policies have progressed, because the problem is the constitutional standard is way too low. It allows officers to use deadly force against someone who's running away, even though they present no threat to the officer or anybody else, just because they've committed a violent felony. And that's ridiculous. And there might have been a time where as a community we felt that was okay, but we no longer do. And that's what needs to be changed, and that's one of the things that I really want to work on as Attorney General.
Mm-hmm. So how'd you meet the Crowns? Like, how you get them to supply you? The Crowns?
Yeah.
How you get that bag? Them dudes are rich. Like, I didn't even know they knew black people.
Now these are children of Lester and whatever,
yes.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm on the Y board with Steve Crown.
Okay. Well, we got it. That's my answers my question. Hey, can I start? I got something I want to ask about. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Top of Chicago 1690 AM. This is Smooth Jazz Sounds by Erykah Badu.
Oh no. That is the queen, man. That's Ella.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. This is Charles's choice.
That's Charles's choice, man. This is Ella. That's Ella Fitzgerald, man. Can't you just don't you ever go home in the evening?
Is that LL Cool J Fitzgerald?
Ella Fitzgerald while you're cooking dinner or whatever.
I don't find her on Tidal, man.
You don't?
I can't find her by the 444 Jay-Z.
You have a cocktail, or maybe you even,
my gummy bears.
Eat a gummy bear or fire up a little.
For me, it's Sunday mornings.
Oh.
You're up on Sunday mornings?
Ella and Joe Pass.
Oh, look at you.
I have both of those albums.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love. Look here.
Look at that. So you're a real sister. Are you a real sister? You got some real sister credentials. I'm gonna check that in a minute.
She might be working on it. But I got a question for you.
Go ahead, Charles.
We get a lot of people who talk to us, and they complain about the beauty supply industry in Chicago and the hair weave industry that they say there's an Asian American cartel.
There's a bunch of cartels.
Controls the sale and distribution of hair weave and beauty products to the black community, and they won't let black people in on it. Isn't that something that the Attorney General of the state could break up if in fact that's happening? And will you investigate?
Yeah,
beauty
so
supply industry?
I don't know anything about that industry.
You don't know anything about the hair weave industry?
I'm sorry.
The fact they don't let black all the hair weave stores are.
No. I just I've had the same hairdo for probably 25 years. My children always tease me about it, but no, seriously though, like I said, any place where laws being broken, people's constitutional rights are being violated, then we can use the rule of law and the power of the office to try to break that up. And as long as those cases are brought to the office's attention, we're gonna look at them. So
well, I guess I'm bringing it to your attention.
Sure.
But it's.
But I'd like to just diversify who you go after. So when you do go after, please also check out the clothing industry, right? Because the Arab community controls the clothing industry as well as the chicken and fish industry, right? Our community has been divided up, and quite frankly, I know you're looking, but they basically have shut us out of the business opportunities through supply and demand, and they go directly to the manufacturers. So I do think that's something that we'll share with you to look back at. Let me ask you another question, though, because since we're talking about investigations, how do you feel about the fact that legislators and people that we elect are able to simultaneously raise and lower our taxes for profit? Do you think that's illegal? And so what I'm talking about is the property tax appeal business, the deal between Joe Barrios, Speaker Madigan, Ed Burke, where they all make money raising and lowering our taxes and then voting on raising and lowering our taxes.
And we might understand why Lisa Madigan never addressed that issue, but what will you do about it?
Like I say, where there are people that are breaking the law,
but it's not
we will go after them. What you're talking about is a pretty significant conflict of interest, and where there's a legal framework in place to prevent that conflict of interest, we can go after them. Other than that, we're going to have to create that legal.
And so my question is, so we talked this yesterday, which is what's legal and what's right.
Right.
And so they have written the laws to make it legal. Meanwhile, the people in the south suburbs are getting put out of their homes underwater because of the taxes. And in the downtown area, they're getting property tax reductions by the people who vote on their taxes. Is that something you would go after? And I mean proactively.
Yeah, I mean, I think that where there are people that are being harmed, when there are lives that are being harmed
suburbs
by a conflict of interest, that would be something that I would want to learn about and try to investigate, and where I could use the rule of law to prevent that, I would do it.
Are you looking for the support of Speaker Mike Madigan in your campaign?
I'm looking for the support of people who support what I'm about, right? Which is criminal justice reform, pushing back on the harmful policies of the Trump administration, and then protecting people's health, well-being, and civil rights, voting rights, the right to work, the right to be safe in your home. That's what I'm about.
Wait, so you're for right to work?
Yeah.
You're for right to work?
I believe people should be able to earn a living.
But right to work, I mean, you know what that means, don't you?
What do you mean when you say
I'm talking about the whole national
movement for right to work.
Over the right to work and whether or not a union has the right to organize workers.
No, I believe unions have the right. I believe that people where collective.
But you know what right to work means, right?
When you're saying it now I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I believe that I believe that unions have the right to I mean, people have the right to pursue collective bargaining.
But do they have the right to not have union? Do they have to be forced to work in a union to do construction jobs in your mind? Do you believe that people have to be in a union to get to do construction work?
No.
They do not.
Right.
And so you do not believe that the union should have to be able to force people into collective bargaining agreements?
Yeah, so this is an issue that I'm going to reserve right now because I want to learn more about it.
Yeah,
that's a really.
So let me get back to you on that one. This is a complicated issue, and I've dealt with unions. I had a really good relationship with AFSCME when I was working at COPA because there were some complicated issues about building out the new agency, and I really worked hard to partner with them in a way that made sense. But also, I've also had some dealings with the FOP. They basically think that I'm the devil incarnate.
Public enemy number one.
Because I held officers accountable in a way that they'd never been accountable before.
You mean to tell me you told them that they couldn't just kill black people for free? That I appreciate.
Yeah, that I tried to make clear to them.
Sharon. So I guess my question now becomes to you: who do you think in Springfield is doing a good job, particularly black? That's a long pause.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm
going to give you a little more.
I can't.
Because you really. So you're. Okay,
So,
I'll take that. We'll take that as an answer. You can't think of anybody that's doing a good job in Spring. Sharon?
I just really am very frustrated. The state hasn't had a budget in 2 years.
Who's responsible for
I think it's both sides. I think that it's like this. I think it's crazy. I mean, and it's not the politicians who are suffering from this. We've got really talented, important service providers who are going out of business because they're not getting paid. And we've got citizens who are not getting services that they need because of this. And our state finances are a shambles. I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible. So I'm not going to point to anybody who I think is doing a good job.
Sharon Fairley, this is the WVON Morning Show. Mm-hmm. What is in it for the black people with the Sharon Fairley candidacy for Attorney General?
So, like I said, my key focus is criminal justice reform, dealing with over-incarceration, dealing with police and community relations, dealing with law enforcement, making sure we have constitutional policing, and smart, getting rid of the rhetoric when it comes to crime and violence prevention, and actually trying to implement policies that actually work instead of just legislation that's based on rhetoric. That's the first thing. The second thing is, this Trump administration, our rights and our well-being, our health and well-being are under siege by the Trump administration. And it's, some of these things are, and that's one of the reasons why I entered the race, because I've been the last few months really frustrated that I couldn't play a personal role in pushing back against the craziness that is in Washington right now. And I really feel strongly about that. So preserving voting rights, the things that he's doing with the environment, women's reproductive rights. I mean, it's ridiculous.
How would you, as a constitutionally elected Attorney General, counsel the legislature on the issue of legalized recreational marijuana?
So, I think that I don't have a problem necessarily with legalized marijuana. But
Did you ever inhale?
I'm sorry?
You ever inhale?
Did I ever inhale? I think I did once when I was young. I'm not a.
Now you just puff and pass.
Yeah, I'm not a. I will tell you, my vice is the cosmopolitan.
But again, how would you counsel the?
Yeah, so I think that this is I come from law enforcement, so I'm all about protecting the community. And want to be careful about something like that.
But they're doing it in Las Vegas, they're doing it in Colorado.
Right, so again, I think that we have to be careful and make sure that we have the right legal infrastructure in place to deal with things like how do you deal with, driving under the influence.
Well, of course we would, but what do you think about it? Do you think we could do it?
I think it's possible. I think it has to be
Would you support it? Would you say, hey, do it?
I would support it with the appropriate safeguards in place to make sure that we're protecting the community in the right way, in these ways that I've discussed.
Here's a question that is passionate to me personally.
Yes.
How many black people have you hired on your staff? And what roles or positions do they play?
So my deputy campaign manager is a lovely black woman named Jalakoy Solomon who worked on the Hillary campaign.
That didn't help very well. How did she work out?
Well, I know, but she's really smart and very dedicated.
She from Chicago?
No, she's not from Chicago.
Okay, who you hired from Chicago? That's working. Black.
That's black, working from Chicago. I have a lot of volunteers.
Working, paid. You got paid white staff?
I do have paid white staff.
How many? Campaign manager paid white staff?
Yes.
Communications director?
Yes.
Field director?
Yes.
Fundraiser?
Yes.
All white?
Yes.
So what's in it for the black people with you? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll ask that question when we come back. It's the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM. Look, I'm going to tell you. These people come in here.
Yeah.
And we have all of these black people that have been working, that have been making people successful in these elections and these campaigns. And then these white people come from somewhere else and they come into town and they hire all these people that make them feel comfortable and skip over the people. But then our people got to volunteer.
Sure.
Black folks need to work on these campaigns. They're spending tons of money on all of these campaigns, and we got qualified black folks that can do it too.
Send them my way.
We will.
Send them my way.
Do you know Omari Prince?
No, I don't.
You need to talk to Omari.
So, we had to put together a campaign like lickety split, and I didn't have a lot of time. And I'll tell you, the governor's race basically sucked up a lot of talented people, and I had to put a team together fast. I just didn't have a lot of time. So, you know, if I had a months-long runway on this campaign, then I'd be all about that. But I had to find people that I could trust and could do the work, like, and jump in right away.
And I'm just suggesting, I'm not tripping on you, but I'm suggesting that there is a whole network of people that do, but they don't ever get the call, because the first call goes to whoever the rich white folks are that say, these are the people that you need. And then they keep sending these folks over to our community telling us, oh, well, this is what the black folks, you need to go get the preachers, you need to go get the blah, 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 blah. I'm just telling you, it's a whole different world out here right now. I'm not bugging out at all. We got to eat. Black folks got to participate. They got to play. This is about to be the most expensive election in the whole country. You got the not your race. Yeah, I'm talking about the governor's race.
Yeah, the governor's
race.
The
governor's race. Well, shoot, if you got Lester Crown and I'm looking at my man got Penny Pritzker and all that, and I don't see no black folks on the staff, I'm going to be wearing out. But for real.
I say send them my way. I'm happy to talk to anybody who can help me. I need all the help I can get. And I don't care, frankly, I don't care what color they are. If they can help me, I'm going to hire them.
Okay.
But the whole thing about the amount of money that's being spent in the governor's race, I just really hate that.
There's going to be a lot of money spent in the Attorney General's race.
Yes. There is. I'm going to tell you, because Erica Harold is about to have at least $10 million. At least. Just for Chicago.
Yeah.
And here, Erica Harold is really, like, if it's, I don't know if you ain't the candidate, I don't know if black folks a black woman that graduated from Harvard, that's a Miss America.
Black woman that graduated from U of C.
Princeton. No, that's why I said if it ain't you, it's gonna be some problems.
No, it would be if it's not you. I mean, you could
probably be the Erica.
You'd be in the game. You'd be in the game. Definitely, because you could mano a mano, but you got to get through a primary.
I think
mano a mano, you would be that would be one heck of a race. You, America Harold,
man, you have black folks, 2 black women, 2 Ivy League black women. Woo, with that speak proper too. With all that extra proper English.
Yeah, man, that would be deep. That would be a hell of a race.
I love that. The debates. Could you imagine?
Jesse got all that big Pritzker money coming at you. Yeah. Jesse got all that Pritzker money, and but also ask, what do you think about if it was JB or Chris or whomever, a black lieutenant governor's candidate, a black AG candidate, a black Secretary of State candidate? That's a lot of splibs on the ticket, and I'm telling you, man. I don't know if the party powers that be really want to see that again, because they did it a few years ago and they got their clock clean. So, do they want that? And believe me, there is, the conspiracy theorists are suggesting that maybe the powers that be are trying to make sure that neither you nor Kwame wins, so they can keep the ticket.
No.
Let's tweet. We're back. Put your headphones on.
No, that's not.
You don't think that could happen?
They wouldn't be that. They wouldn't be that. I'm saying that's not what I sense right now. I think the powers that be are trying to squash me like.
You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Mace Jackson. Got my main man, Charles Thomas. Hey, y'all. What y'all doing tomorrow night? You know what? I'm going to family night. I see all these women always taking their kids out. We hear the stories of the single moms. But you know what? I've decided that this dad squad, dads, we work too. We spend time with our kids too. So tomorrow night, we all gonna head out to family night at Marvel Live. Come join me and the dad squad. We gonna be $10 tickets. Holla at your boy, go to the Facebook page. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Attorney General candidate Miss Sharon Fairley, formerly of the Copacabana. He's the straight one, I'm the silly one. I'm like the crazy, that's why I'm yoga. Hey, but you know what?
What?
Come tell you got a couple points from me today. Hey, y'all, because she was trying to get her yoga on, but she was trying to be, you was doing that bougie yoga. That yoga, yeah, because see, y'all, y'all can't get too loose, because you got to remember, you got an image to uphold.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I can be just as anybody else.
So then, Sharon, let me ask you a question. So, you said you came here in 2003. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
I be acting funny. But, Sharon, tell me, what is your favorite thing to do in Chicago?
Oh, gosh. There's so many.
Give me one.
Well, eating primarily. I love the restaurants in Chicago. I love to go out and have a nice meal. That's why.
What is your favorite South Side restaurant?
I don't. South Side. I've lived downtown, so.
See?
Yeah.
See, now look, that's why you got to have you a paid black staff.
Yeah.
Cause I'm telling you, Chris Kennedy came here.
Yeah.
Did he give us chicken? No, he brought us donuts from that. And then, everybody, they try and bring their little collections of food and stuff. So the next time, you gotta tell them to take you. Do you know Toure Muhammad?
No.
So you need to meet Toure Muhammad because he does Black Chicago Eats Week, and he's got a list of all the black restaurants. Now look, the next time you come in to WVON,
yeah,
I'm giving you the black test.
I will tell you that my vice is Harold's Chicken.
I was about to ask you, Harold's or Uncle Remus?
Yeah, no, definitely Harold's.
Oh, see, now what you gonna tell the West Siders?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But that was when I was at Copa. That would be like, I would say, like, on a Friday, I would say we have to just order chicken, and we get the whole place to just order chicken. It was great.
Chicken, what you did a lot of work with them activists. Did y'all have chicken at the meetings? I'm sorry. That's an inside joke. That's an inside joke. All right.
Maybe.
Look, Charles, we got to wrap. Look,
why are you teasing me like that?
I'm not teasing you, Sharon. You know what? But it's fun. When you say, why are you teasing me like that? I think I grew up in Bolingbrook, and people used to say to me, why you talk all proper like that? Okay. You got that proper talk.
I can't help it.
It's okay. I want my daughter to have that proper talk. Don't be mad. Ain't nothing wrong with talking proper.
He teases me all the time.
Right.
I'm bilingual though. I can go either way.
Right.
Actually, I do a little Spanish and French too. But,
do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do. Yeah. It's all right. It's what I'm trying to say. Don't pay any attention to that.
Okay.
It's all right.
Nah, Sharon.
I like that in you.
Okay.
Definitely.
Sharon, okay. Now let me ask a question. Have you ever been to the Chosen Few?
The Chosen Few? No. What is the Chosen Few?
Sharon.
I'm sorry.
Sharon. Okay. You better call your Afrostocracy friends and tell them.
Educate me.
Well, the Afrostocracy, they pretty big on the Chosen Few.
Hey man, the Chosen.
Maybe she's not Afrostocracy.
That could be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm
that
not.
Could be a good
You're
thing.
not Afrostocracy?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just me, you guys. I'm just like a normal person. I have a dog. I love to walk my dog.
Oh, are you one of these dog people that dresses your dog? He has a dog and he dresses his dog with shoes.
Cocoa Bubbles.
I go home and cook every night.
You
What's
cook?
your dog's name?
Yes.
What's your dog's name?
Jojo.
Jojo. Mine's. I got Coco.
Jolene.
Yeah, Cocoa Bubbles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Jolene, is that after the Dolly Parton song?
Yeah, I love that song.
I love that song too.
Beautiful song.
Jolene. You know Jolene. You know what? Sharon.
Jolene.
Oh, Sharon, can you sing?
I can sing.
You sing at the church choir? Oh, I got one. That's Sharon, what church do you go to?
I don't have a church home here. I go to church when I go home.
Now listen.
Where's home? Where's home?
In Maryland.
Oh, so you go to church in Maryland?
Yeah.
You fly out there every week?
I don't fly out there every week, but that's where I get my. That's where
you get your reload.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you because these black pastors here are kind of tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
So Sharon.
Yes.
You know what? I had big plans to not like you.
Okay.
I had big plans to not like you, but I kind of think you're kind of cool. You got the. Now we're gonna have to make sure you get some black people working.
Yes.
Right. So whoever's listening, all the white folks in the room, as y'all look at each other, look around and see that y'all don't see no brothers. And the next time you come up in this station, if I get out and go in the green room and ain't no black people there, it's gonna be a scene.
Okay.
Now,
I hear you.
okay.
I'm on it.
But Sharon.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, we do appreciate the work that you did at Copen, so I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we give you, as well as all of the candidates, the opportunity to put themselves on Front Street. But I'm going to tell you, not Front Street, but put yourselves in front of the WVON listening audience. But I'm going to tell you, as you hit this road, if you run in the WVON listening audience, they're going to ask you what's in it for the black people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, tighten that answer up. And I'm going to say, spend some time. Let's go get you some chicken and take you on the South Side tour. Get Get Tory's list of the black restaurants. Yeah. Check that out. Make some friends. Make some other friends and, come back and talk to us.
I'll take it down to Alice's barbecue.
Alice's.
You eat rib tips?
Yes.
You eat rib tips?
Of course.
Well, Alice's is good. It's just that they are.
You gonna smell like a smokehouse.
Rib tips.
Wear a bonnet. Wear a bonnet.
You go there in the wrong time of day.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? We have spent this last hour with attorney. Well, you are an attorney, but she is also candidate for Attorney General, Miss Sharon Fairley. Sharon, I appreciate you coming to Lions Den because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people don't like to. And I also appreciate you not trying to offer to take me outside and check me. So I appreciate that, and I look forward, because I'm going to tell you, I started to wear some boxing gear when I found out we had an Attorney General candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, until tomorrow, if you don't like, for Ned Flournoy, for the musical conductor, the soul playing, Sonia Escobar, for my main man, Charles Thomas, if you don't like it, you can still tell him, May said, we out of here. Peace.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sharon. God bless you and good luck.
Thank you, Sharon, for coming.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Of course.
I'm telling you now, though, I'm going to be stalking you on them black people.
Send me some people. Honestly, I'm happy to.
I see it. I can see it. And so just get them on the team.
Okay.
Hey, who's the contact person? Because I will send them some names.
You can send them to me.
Okay. And then you should make sure that you give us your information or your number if there's anything that comes up or something that you feel like. And the thing I tell people is that if you hear something happening on the radio and you feel like you want to call in, call in. We'll make it happen. Like if we're talking about a subject or a topic that is affecting you.
Here's my email address.
Okay, cool.
Just
awesome.
send it my way. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming in. It was great. I had a good time.
Me too. Thank you.
Hi, Miss Fairley. I'm Carrie. I do the midday show. It's so nice to talk to you and see you.
You too.
But Sharon, can I also tell you, you need to double down on the because I'm telling you now, you're getting ready to make the news.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gonna make the news. Okay. That whole the comment on right to work, you better tell them to bring you up to speed on that.
Okay.
Because that one, you're gonna be on Capitol Facts today. I can tell you already.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I don't.
I know. So they gotta get you right.
Thank you.
No problem.
Give me the heads up about that. All right.
Say bye to the Facebook and YouTube audience. That's her. All right, y'all.
All right.
Peace out. Thank you.